Does the NHL start tonight or tomorrow?
I thought it started next week. No?
Sharks and there's preseason tomorrow, but there's also regular season tomorrow. Sharks and Preds are regular season tomorrow in Czechoslovakia.
Ah. Oh, the Global Series. I will say it's 2 p.m, NHL Network. You're looking for a little afternoon sports, sir.
Done deal. Got my fantasy hockey draft tonight.
Look at you.
Oh, my kid has a league. He asked me if I'd be in last year, the year. I think 2 years ago I did it, didn't even pay attention. Last year I kind of half paid attention. This year I'm in.
Okay.
I keep getting alerts from ESPN to do fantasy hockey.
How many fantasy basketball leagues you in?
None so far. I wasn't last year, but you know damn well I need to assemble another one.
Wow.
Plus, it's not like my fantasy football team is any better.
Yeah, but in theory, this is your wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah, this is my bread and butter.
Not rice, though.
Butter used to be terrible for you. Now butter's fine.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
How long has I can't believe it's not butter been around?
40 years?
70s.
I can't believe it's not.
Ugh.
Oh, God.
I don't use any substitutes. That's way worse for you than rice, that chemical.
Yeah, really.
Body.
About the only thing worse than that is an energy drink. Golly. That is the stuff, by the way. They are 20, 30 years from now going to come back and go, let me tell you how bad this stuff was for you.
Energy drinks?
God, I hope
yeah.
I drink them all the time. I love them.
They're not regulated.
All right, here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you, as we ask the question, how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, coming at you like never before. I'm in my new home of Jacksonville, Mark in the cozy confines of the 239. Mark, if Florida has 4 corners, we're in 2 of them.
Yeah, but the other one's so far away, we're never going to get to it, wouldn't it?
Well, that is true. All right. The northwest corner of Florida is, it's a ways away.
Now you've got me really thinking. You can't really do that because Key West would be a corner.
A corner? Are we sure that's a corner? I mean, I'd like to think Southwest Florida is a corner. Miami, Fort Lauderdale's a corner. Jacksonville's a corner. And then Pensacola, I guess, is, kind of the northwest corner.
So you're just throwing out Monroe County on us, huh?
Well, is it big enough to be a corner? I mean,
a lot of corner bars.
True. I mean, that's I don't consider, it's part of the mainland, I guess. I don't know. I consider Southwest Florida a corner.
All right, fair enough.
So we're in 2 of the 4 corners, if you will. It's tough for 2 people doing a show to be in more than 2 corners.
It's very true. Very true. We'll try to find more corners as the show goes on.
Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. We had football last night, little UCF action. We've got the NFL tonight, and the baseball season has come and gone. That's it. How many of you, in fact, early nomination for a poll question, the baseball season is over. How many of you didn't watch a game?
That is, I'd rather come up with a few answers there than just yes and no. I didn't watch a game, but I'm not opposed to it because, well, the sport that was America's pastime, its time has passed a lot of people.
It has. And by the way, if you were watching a college football game and they cut in for an Aaron Judge at bat, that does not count. That is not watching of a baseball game. Sorry. So just throwing that out there. But baseball season has come and gone. That's it. 6 months already. Boom. Bada bing, bada boom. Done.
I watched more Marlins games in person than I did on TV.
Interesting. How many did you go to?
I went to 2. Not a great product from the Marlins this year.
No.
Only Sandy.
They were offensively challenged. There's no doubt about it. They'll have a new manager. The Royals will have a new manager as well. Mark, should you wait? You know, you and I have been fired so many times. Is there a protocol to the firing? I mean, should you let the season end, let them go home, have dinner, get a good night's sleep, come in the next day and fire him? Or do you just, when this game's over and he goes into the office and you stick your head in and you go, hey, yeah, you're not coming back, by the way. All the best.
It's a great question. And I can defend both the Wednesday end of the season, last game, just walking in and saying, why don't you just take all your stuff with you while you're going?
Right.
We've got no more use for you around here. You knew it was coming. We knew it was coming. So just take your time and get everything out. But it's so cold.
Yes.
It's so cold. And then again, there's no warm and fuzzy way to fire someone.
No.
There's no nice way. David, you and I have been fired countless times. There's no good way to get fired.
No, we got fired via email the last time we got fired even.
And they didn't send it to us.
No, they didn't. They sent it to everybody else. Thankfully, somebody
and then said we quit.
Right. So, I mean, trust me.
Why I've saved a copy of the email that was sent to me by someone that worked there, and I continue to have it just for the record.
I mean, we've been fired just about every way you can be fired. I mean, we've been fired and made the paper. You know, we've been fired via email and not sent to us.
I was fired over the phone.
Fired
one
over
time.
Really?
Yeah. I worked for a hockey team, minor pro hockey team. The guy who was the GM of 2 teams, didn't bother to come to the city I was in. My contract was up, and I went in on Monday morning, and he called me up and said, we're not going to renew your contract. And I turned around and went home. That was really nice of him.
It was.
Couldn't have let me know on Friday that I didn't have a job.
Well, right. I mean, I wouldn't have gone to bed early last night, and heck, I wouldn't even be up right now.
So, yeah, I've been fired a dozen different ways, and there's no nice way of doing it. So I don't know if I'd want to come back
today.
Right.
Because think about it in the NFL. They almost always, what is it? It's Black Monday after the season ends. They bring everybody back into the office the next day. They fire them. And there's a part of me that thinks I'd really rather just know Sunday night. In fact, hey, Skip. Yeah, before you go, am I getting fired tomorrow? Because if so, I'll just pack this thing up right now. And I'll sleep in. I haven't slept in months. RCB wants to know if we ever went scorched earth on the way out.
Never once.
I did.
Not for me.
I did. I went Jane, you ignorant slut once early in my career.
The closest I came was one of the hockey teams I worked for was relocating, and they had offered everybody jobs. The other team that was owned by this same company then relocated to Quebec. They were a level above us, so all of our jobs got offered to all of them first, and they rescinded the job offers they had for us.
No, that's a move right there.
And Then they wanted us for our 2-week, when they gave us the 2-week notice that we were all done, they literally wanted us to help pack up the office. I went to work every day for 2 weeks because I wanted my money. I went in my office, I shut the door, and I used their phones every day to try to get a job. And when they asked me to do something, I looked at them and I started laughing. I literally started laughing. I said, if you think I'm going to help you do one thing, you're crazy. I'm here for your phones. You can pay. I said, you want to pay me for 2 weeks? I won't come back. But if I have to be here every day, I'll be here.
So just, something to ponder. Did you watch a baseball game at all? Adam in our Twitch chat room, who, by the way, says he's from the northwest corner of the state. Thank you, Adam. He said he watched 30 minutes of a Braves game all season. So I'm guessing,
because baseball starts on Friday, the playoffs begin. You can get all fired up and catch the whole season,
right,
in around a month.
Although, Adam, you don't even have to worry till next week. The Braves have a bye. And yes, that's right. Since you missed the whole season, we now have buys in baseball. So there you go. It's another question.
Amazing how much of how polarizing almost baseball's become. You're either all in with baseball or you don't watch it all. There doesn't seem to be a casual baseball fan anymore.
Doesn't exist.
The way that there is a casual NFL fan.
Well, let's see if you're right. Is there anybody who, did like Adam? I watched 30 minutes of a season. But now that the playoffs have started, you'll be in. Because it's not that way with football, even though the playoffs get better ratings. But for the most part, you've watched some or all of the season, and then you're really all in on the playoffs because we only got so many of these games and they're elimination games.
Now, if that were the case, would that be considered a casual baseball fan?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, then I would consider myself a casual baseball fan.
So starting tomorrow, all right, you're going to sit down and watch playoff baseball.
Yeah, I love the playoffs.
Okay, well then you're a casual fan. Yeah. I mean, if you watched one game on TV all year, which you said you did, and you went to 2.
Well, one Marlins game. I watched a few other games, but yeah.
Yeah, so you're then a casual fan, which, by the way, Major League Baseball will take, Felipe. You're 22.
Oh, trust me. Right now, baseball, if they're listening to this, and they are, because our market's so old that they think their audience is here. I mean, between Tampa, St. Pete, and Fort Myers, Naples, I mean, this is baseball's core.
In fact, I don't know why the commissioner's offices are on Park Avenue, be honest with you. They should be in like Sarasota, Bradenton. I mean, really, they're missing out here. What are they doing? What are they thinking?
I'm sorry. That's a good line. That's funny. But to get you, Felipe, to actually watch 10, 15 games, if they could get, 10% of the 22 to 25-year-olds to watch 10 games, they'd be doing cartwheels right now because they don't have any of that audience.
Johnny Mack says he's watched about 15 Rays games over the last 2 months. Well, I hope it wasn't the last 3 weeks, Johnny Mack. My goodness.
Also, I think baseball is similar to hockey in the sense that it's a much better experience when you go to the game.
It is funny how many football fans actually think it's a better experience at home.
I don't think it's close. I don't. To have a random seat in the stadium, you're going to big boy it and you get a suite. I've got club seats or I've got a suite.
Right.
That's a whole different thing. But to go sit in the 300 levels for 3 hours where you got to, make sure you're not going to get sucker punched. Make sure you're not involved in some sort of a melee that you weren't even, trying to get in. I'd rather take the couch in the red zone.
Are you saying there's a drunken violence problem in NFL games?
No.
Impossible.
What would make you think that? So I just wondered, baseball season came to an end. You can kind of do your own little internet poll. How much of it did you watch? How into the playoffs are you? Which start tomorrow? Unless your team's really good, then it starts next week.
Casual baseball fan's now the guy that watches the postseason. I mean, that is a pretty low bar that we've set to be a casual baseball fan.
Hey, they've done it to themselves. They'll take Felipe any way they can get him.
Darn right. You're darn right they will. We've got a great show lined up for you today. Matt Cannata to join us to talk a little Dolphins, Roy Cummings to talk some Bucs, and Matt Baker to talk some Gators. That's all ahead, plus the starting 5 in 25 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So a couple weeks ago, I sat down with my mom, and she told me the story of the moment that she knew she was done going to UM football games in person. And it was when me and my brother were young, and she just said, like, yeah, going to football games sucks when you're a parent. You have to worry about your kids and drunk assholes. That she'd much rather go to a baseball game instead.
I will say you don't see it very often. You do occasionally, Dodgers, Giants, and occasional game in the Northeast, but you don't see a lot of drunken incidents at a baseball game.
No, it's more like a picnic with your occasional fanfare. And I mean occasional.
David, we got a bridge built in 4 days.
No way.
I'm amazed. By the way, very cordial. Watch the whole thing.
Good.
He Biden got out of the car. DeSantis was right there with the handout. All four of them, little pleasantries, talked. You know what it looked like? Adults.
Imagine that.
Wow.
Right. Oh, I was locked in.
Hold up. They finished a bridge in Sanibel?
No, Pine Island.
Oh, oh yeah.
Aren't they saying end of the month for
Yes.
Sanibel?
That's
Temporary?
what they're saying, which is remarkable.
Yeah, just
Yeah. Yeah, they're sending the house down. Send them all.
Mark, I think you were right yesterday when you took me to the airport to get my car. I think that was a practice run.
Because he didn't get here until afternoon.
Oh, it was afternoon? Okay.
Yeah. He didn't land until 12:40.
I guess a Spirit Airlines flight to Detroit was the first flight out of the airport at late afternoon to signal that it's back. I guess today's supposed to be a full normal.
Hold on, yeah.
Did he fly into RSW on Air Force One?
Have to, yeah.
Yes. And then
There's
had
no-
Marine One when he helicoptered and toured the area. What I didn't realize, I thought they were going to land him at Fort Myers Beach, but they came back, landed him at the airport. So what I think they might have been doing is, like I said, a practice run to the beach. So everybody knew where they were going. Because that same because then he did a flyover. Cecil Pendergrass was with him the whole time on the flyover. He was in the helicopter in Marine One. That's who they must have chose from the county to show him what was what.
Marine One is so cool.
They had like 5 helicopters. I forgot the name of the other ones. They were badass. The one that.
Oh my God, the Ospreys.
The
I
Ospreys,
saw the
yeah.
Ospreys.
Did you see them?
I took a video of them. So cool. My God, those things are awesome. VTOL.
Yeah, I know DeSantis fans are all excited because he's, president obviously spoke first, and then he made way and let the governor. So the governor walked up to the podium, which has the presidential seal on it. So DeSantis fans are all fired up.
By the way, the Twitter memes about DeSantis's boots. Oh my God.
Oh, I know.
Please look at this one.
I've probably seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cowboys.
Cowboys. They're great. The rest of the world doesn't know what shrimp boots are.
But why white? If they would have been black or navy blue.
Because they're white.
Because they're white.
White.
It's like a Disney.
Shrimp boots are white.
Yeah, sure. It is what it is.
He looks like a Disney prince, man. Come on.
I'll tell you what. There's been a lot that I don't like about him, a lot that I like about him. He's been terrific the last week.
Oh yeah.
He's hit it out of the park.
Yes,
All
he
right,
has.
Come back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm coming at you from my new home of Jacksonville, Mark in the cozy confines of the 239. So we've got 2 of the 4 corners of our state, which you don't think of as a 4-corner state, but that's our story and we're sticking to it. We got the Northeast and the Southwest corners covered. Should we get correspondence? Okay. Should Felipe branch out at some point and be our Southeast corner correspondent?
You're going to give him more airtime?
Tell me twice. I mean,
No. In theory, Mark, it could be less airtime. We have to go to him if you're a correspondent. We're the anchors. We have to throw it to him. He can't get on unless we throw it to him. See, now there are times in which we have felt powerless. I mean, he's in the command center.
Right.
He can press the button. He can fall asleep when he wants. He can watch TV when he wants. All right. He can make phone calls, order food, but he can also hit the mic button and start talking when he wants.
I still like the classroom hand being raised.
Felipe does look at you when you do that, kind of like, man, it really? That's I'm done with college. All right. And Mark looks at him like, not here. You're not. You're grad school.
You're in grade school now. You're starting all over right at the beginning.
and I don't have to go to class on Saturdays.
That's the only good thing about this job. This university would have a 4-day work week.
That's right. We don't know if it'd be Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Friday, but in fact, Felipe, It's a shame that we never became bigger than we are, because there were 2 or 3 things that we were 15 years ahead of the curve on. Gambling, legalizing and regulating marijuana, okay, and the 4-day work week. We
It's
were
the only one we
campaigning.
got left.
We were campaigning on this stuff when George W. Bush was president. Man, we've been campaigning on this for a long time. We've got hardly any platform left, unfortunately.
No,
Miller
we
and
do
Moulton.
not. Not many new ideas anymore. They've taken all of them.
Well, we had 3. Just 2 out of 3 ain't bad, I guess.
That's right. That's right.
If the third Miller and Moulton prophecy is true, then I know my future's bright.
Aren't they doing it across the pond? And it's working. People really like it, I thought. I thought they're doing it in England. I thought they've had an experimental 4-day work week with like a large section of the society, and it's working.
Whenever you can get that going, I'm in.
Totally.
We'll work 3 days together. One of us will work the Monday. One of us will work the Friday. We'll be just fine.
Really. And Felipe will be our Southeastern correspondent. And by Southeastern, we mean in Florida. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. So do you believe in asking for something out loud? Like, you can do it privately, or you go public with your want. Because LeBron James went public with his want last night. I got to admit, I'm okay with it.
It's a pretty big want.
It is, but it's possible. I mean, it's feasible. It's doable. He wants a franchise. And they played a preseason game in Vegas last night. And after the game, he said, "Hey, Adam Silver, I know you're in Abu Dhabi with the Bucs and the Hawks, but I also know that you read every single quote from every player that comes out of all these games. So I just want to let you know right now, I want the team in Vegas." Which, by the way, can we just do a sidebar? How many years ago was it? 7, 8? The thought of a professional sports franchise in Las Vegas.
And they're going to have, and now they have 2. Basketball would be a 3rd.
And the A's could relocate there tomorrow.
Right.
And it wasn't even 10 years ago. Because the hockey team just finished year 6?
Right.
5 or 6, something
5
like that?
or 6, somewhere in there.
So, 8-10 years ago, the thought of a professional sports franchise in Las Vegas was like, "Oh, you can't do that. That's Sin City. There's all that gambling and nude women and partying."
I don't really think the nude women and the partying had anything to do with it. I do think it was I think it really ended with the gambling, but it was a nice role you were on there.
Thank you.
It was a nice little role you were on. But you're right. The thought of playing, right.
Just the thought.
How could we ever have a pro franchise in Las Vegas?
Never. I will never have it. And I'm speaking on behalf of all the commissioners of all the major sports. Never. Not in my lifetime.
I've said this before, but when that NBA team gets to Vegas, we're going to look back and say, how is there not an NBA team in Vegas?
Please, when hockey was the first and it thrived, all the rest of the sports looked at one another and said, what were we doing or not doing?
How did we miss this?
How stupid are we? How many years ago was it? It's about 7 or 8 years ago. Remember, Romo wanted to have a fantasy football convention in Vegas. They damn near threatened to kick him out of the league.
Yes.
It was like 2014 when he wanted to have it.
And it was, it was completely trashed by the league.
Oh my goodness.
He was completely trashed.
He had like 48 hours to get rid of all evidence that this thing was even a proposal, or else we're going to suspend you, like we did Paul Hornung and Alex Karras in the early 60s. That was early in Goodell's tenure. and now we have active players going, Mr. Commissioner, I just want you to know I'd like to be first in line for the franchise here in Las Vegas. Thank you very much. And let's be honest, Mark. I mean, isn't it kind of like when Michael Jordan raised his hand and said, "Hey, I think I want to buy the Charlotte franchise"? I mean, David Stern at that point is kind of like, well, I think we got to sell Jordan the Charlotte franchise, don't you? I mean, if LeBron James wants a franchise and you're the NBA, you're going to expand here probably by the end of the decade. And everybody knows it's going to be Seattle and Vegas. I mean, it's just a matter of what teams from the West we're going to move to the East. I mean, Seattle and Vegas are getting the two expansion franchises.
Easy. Timberwolves, Pelicans.
Okay.
Should be.
Yeah.
Should be really easy.
But I mean, if LeBron James raises his hand and says,
well,
hey, I
think
want a team.
With what's going on in Phoenix with that report and how that owner's been, I do think it lends more credibility to what LeBron's trying to do, because they're all the players in the Player Association coming out on what Starver's done in Phoenix, and now the guy who runs, basically runs the Players Association says, I want to run a team.
And not only that, I'll have over $1 billion in assets to put on paper for these expansion franchises that you guys are going to want $2 billion for. I can be majority owner. I mean, how do you not sell it to them? Vegas is going to go in a 10-year period from 0 pro sports teams to 4.
Absolutely remarkable. Sin City is now Sports City.
Nice.
Miller and Moulton. Can't wait to get to Sin City for some sports. That's what I'm talking about. The starting 5, that's next on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com, flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh wow, there's an awesome drone video of like the new bridge in Pine Island and just a convoy of Publix trucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
RCB, usually the way it works is that they select the ownership group and then they have to pay the expansion fee. It's difficult for me to imagine they're going to get more than $2 billion. Considering teams who are existing, who have, 40, 50 years of heritage, are selling for a little over $2 billion.
Oh, wonderful.
What's that?
North Korea flying some warplanes near South Korea, and South Korea's launched some warplanes itself. Did we already do this once?
Well, we got a sitcom out of it, though. I mean, it was really good.
Yeah, but we needed another war really to have the sitcom about that war, because that sitcom was really about Vietnam. But it was a good sitcom.
Yeah, RCB, they can't. Well, I guess they can do whatever they want, but usually leagues just set whatever the expansion fee price is. They don't say, well, if it's in Vegas, it's $2.5 billion. If it's in Seattle, it's 1.8. I mean, they usually just say the fee is blank.
Yeah, did SMU? I didn't see SMU. I didn't watch the very beginning of the game, David. Did those players? They all.
I missed it too. Yes. Four players. 2 DBs, 2 receivers.
$20 seconds. Coming back.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Matt Cannata to join us in an hour. Roy Cummings, Matt Baker, also to join us on this Thursday. And the Matt Baker conversation will be interesting. We'll talk a little Gators and Knowles, but we'll also talk about the South Florida coach using point spreads to justify the job he's doing. So we'll talk to Matt Baker about that coming up in a couple hours. We'll have a poll question in the next half hour. We'll also have the Clutch Vodka play of the day. All stuff to look forward to, but now it's time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
UCF was trailing 13-10 at the half last night, Mark, and then they scored 31 unanswered. That'll get it done. John Reese Plumlee threw for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. UCF took care of SMU 41-19. SMU did have 4 players sit out and say, we're done. We've played 4 games this year. We're not going to play a 5th. This way we're going to keep our eligibility and we're going to transfer. Senior safety Chase Cromartie, sophomore receiver Roderick Daniels Jr., along with sophomore safety Isaac Nowakobia and receiver Jaylene Record. So 2 DBs, 2 receivers. Some underclassmen, 1 a senior, who all said, you know what? This ain't working for us. We're 2-2. I'll sit out the rest of the year. I'll play elsewhere next year.
Good luck. I mean, they're playing for SMU. Where are they going to transfer to where they're going to see all this time?
Well, I mean, starting tackles at Vandy have then gone to be starting tackles at Alabama. I mean, you could be at a lesser program and still be a good player, but yeah, you're right. It's possible that they're making a mistake, that there may not be a whole lot of want for them out there. But we see this all the time. I mean, we see it in the NBA, Mark, where 60 people will declare for the draft and 25 of them get drafted. And there's nothing we can do about this. It's people make mistakes.
Get bad advice. But this is a ugly part of the transfer portal.
But big win for UCF. They're 4-1 on the season. NFL tonight, Thursday night football. No Jonathan Taylor for the Colts. Would he be able to play if the game was Sunday? Don't know, but it's Thursday. He's got an ankle injury. He can't go. So Matt Ryan by himself, that doesn't seem to be a good prescription. Colts are a 3-point dog at Denver. Over under 42. Apparently these two teams have mastered the under in the last year plus. So over under of 42, spread of 3. Vegas basically saying 22-19, 23-20.
Barn burner of a game on Amazon Prime tonight. Get excited for it.
Tom Brady missed practice yesterday, and they officially listed because of right shoulder and right finger injuries. There was a report out there 2 days ago that said he does have a bit of a rotator cuff injury. So the year is going swimmingly for 45-year-old Tom Brady on and off the field right now.
Oh, I thought it was just because it was Wednesday. It was his old man day.
Nope, because the Wednesday before that, he practiced in full.
Ah.
So he seems to be moving away from that story.
It's because he's moving away from that wife.
For the record, she's worth $150 million more than he is.
For the record, she took her ring off yesterday. Photos of Giselle without the ring.
Oh.
Correct. That's serious.
That's the first sign.
That's serious. I will grant you that. If you are bluffing, you are bluffing all the way, to the max there. That is true. Mm-hmm.
7 beats 1.
Well, not in court, young man. Not in court. Major League Baseball season ended yesterday. I'll try to give you some of the highlights and lowlights, since most of you didn't pay attention to any of it.
I thought that was the highlight.
It's a cheap shot at my beloved sport. The Marlins ended their season with a win, 12-9 over the Braves. The Marlins went 69-93 this year. That's a disappointment. Don Mattingly and the team both agreed a couple of weeks ago that they would not see each other again in 2023. So that was Mattingly's last game. The Rays lost 12 of their last 16, and yet they're going to the playoffs. Red Sox beat them 6-3. In all 12 of those losses, by the way, the Rays have scored 3 runs or less. And now they're going to have to face the Guardians pitching Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In theory, that doesn't bode well. Red Sox, by the way, finished last. 78 wins for the Red Sox. Mark, how much money would we have lost if somebody before the start of the season said the Orioles are going to finish 4th and the Red Sox are going to finish last?
A lot.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the Red Sox go to like the LCS last year?
And the Orioles were the best underplay on the card for the past 4 years.
I was going to say, didn't they win like 52, 53 games, something ridiculous like that last year? Because they had a 31-game improvement this year, did the Orioles. Mets beat the Nats 9-2. They technically finished tied with the Braves. But we don't have the Monday, Thursday tiebreaker anymore. We go season series. Braves with the sweep last weekend won the season series 10-9. Hence, the Braves are NL East champs. Also a 101-win wild card team. Remember, last year the Dodgers won 106 and were a wild card team. The Giants finished 500. Remember, they won 107 games last year. They finished 81-81 this year. 8-1 winners over the Padres. The Padres are the 5 seed. They'll play at the Mets in a best-of-3 beginning tomorrow. Dodgers finished, Mark, with 111 wins. 111-51.
But there were 4 100-plus win teams and 4 100-plus loser teams.
Oh, that's some nice symmetry there. 111-51, 60 games over 500. And yet next week, it'll all mean zip, zilch, nada. Freddie Freeman, by the way, entered the day 4 points behind Jeff McNeil of the Mets. Showalter, the manager of the Mets, sits out McNeil. It was his decision. Freeman had to go 4 for 4 to win the batting title. He went 3 for 4. Finished a point back. Astros beat the Phillies 3-2. Phillies make the playoffs with 87 wins. They're the 6th seed. They'll play the Cardinals tomorrow in a best-of-3. Houston, how about a pretty quiet 106 wins? 106 wins, 50 games over 500. I mean, listen, they did cheat 5 years ago. They did cheat. But they have proven they can play.
And you're right about quiet because of the great start by the Yankees. They were 50-20. Everybody was talking about what the Yankees were doing, and the Astros just kept on keeping on and just methodically took down the Yankees shortly thereafter, the 50-20, and beat them up pretty good and never looked back.
Astros finished 7 games better than the Yankees for best record in the American League. Pirates beat the Cardinals 5-3. Pujols did not play. Cardinals win the division with 93 wins. Yankees, Judge didn't play. They lost. They finished with 99 wins on the season. Texas won 4-2. Toronto and Baltimore split a doubleheader. The Jays are the 4 seed. They will host Seattle in a best-of-3 beginning tomorrow north of the border. The Orioles finish with 83 wins, a 31-game improvement. What's the equivalent in the NFL of what the Orioles just did? 52-110 to 83-79.
Well, probably what the Jags are going to do this year.
Okay. Go from first pick of the draft to
almost making the playoffs, if you will, because that's what Baltimore did. It's not a Bengals like 4-13, 4-12 to go to the postseason.
So basically go from 3-14 to 9-8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I like the Jags analogy there. And if you're a Jags fan, come on, you'd take 9-8 right now. Who are you kidding? Won 4 games.
Lightweight in the division.
Yeah, exactly. If it's the right 9, you'll be in the playoffs. Hosting a playoff game, for goodness sakes. Seattle beat Detroit 5-4. Seattle won 90 games, and yet they go on the road in the first round at Toronto. Cleveland beat Kansas City 9-2. Guardians finished with 92 wins. They end up winning that division by 11, by the way. 3 weeks ago, they were tied. 11. And the Royals fired Mike Matheny immediately after the game. That's what we talked about off the top of the show. Should you wait a day? Should you let the guy have a steak dinner on the team, wine, beer, whatever his choice is, go home, get a good night's sleep, come in about 10, 11 in the morning for meetings? I mean, come on. Really?
Does it depend on the start of the game? You know,
What do
2
you mean?
o'clock game, you can fire him. 7 o'clock game, you do it the next day.
Well, everybody played at 4 o'clock yesterday, so
Then they all should have been fired.
They fired him at about 7:30 then.
That's perfect.
Maybe even 7 o'clock because the games were fast yesterday.
Right.
People were going home. Trout homered in the season finale. He ends up with 40 homers on the year. A's beat the Angels, however, 3-2 before a robust 11,232. How about that for your 1 o'clock Wednesday, glorified nooner in Oakland? That's a big crowd. Milwaukee lost to Arizona 4-2. They end up with 86 wins, a game behind the Phillies for the final playoff spot in the National League. Disappointing season for Milwaukee. The Reds lost 100 games. For the second time in their franchise history, Cubs bombed them 15-2. 62-100 for the Reds. Where are you going to go?
Where you going to go?
And the Twins beat the White Sox 10-1. Twins end up with 78 wins. That's awful. They were in first place for like 3 months. White Sox ended up 500. Man, oh man. Only one team in that division above 500. That's not
I don't know
good.
who had the more disappointing season, the White Sox or the Twins.
I think White Sox. The White Sox were arguably the biggest division favorite in baseball heading into the season. Because I think last year they were the only team in the division to finish above 500. Luis Ariz won the AL batting title. Judge didn't play, and I don't think Ariz did either. So he wins the batting title at like 316. 316 wins the batting title. NBA, did you hear Draymond Green punch Jordan Poole?
Yeah. In practice, they ended practice after the punch.
Right. I love how they say the Warriors are, quote, reviewing the matter. What's there to review? You were there. You saw it. You punched him.
Now, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? I mean, what's there to review? What, are you going to fine him $500? Something absurd like that? Make him pay for the team meal after practice today? I mean, what? And LeBron, after the preseason game in Vegas, says he wants to own a team in Vegas. Many people believe the NBA is going to expand by the end of this decade to both Seattle and Vegas. Figure it'll cost around $1.5 to $2 billion to pay the expansion fee. LeBron's already a billionaire. By the way, the NBA commissioner's in Abu Dhabi, reading LeBron's comments as he's watching Milwaukee and Atlanta play preseason games. And granted, it's a Southwest Florida note, but
A money grab in Abu Dhabi? How dare they?
Unbelievable.
Oh, my goodness. You would think they're playing golf with the Saudis. Oh, sorry.
Not only that, Mark, it's games that don't count. Preseason
So this is
games.
just a pure cash grab.
Right.
Where is the outrage?
They are shilling, and we don't mean Kurt, for money. And hats off to the QBE Shootout, which plays in early December in Naples. They're donating 100% of their general admission tickets and a portion of their Saturday night concert to Southwest Florida hurricane relief. And that was the starting five. Miller and Moulton, Matt Cannata, Roy Cummings, and Matt Baker all coming up right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. How do you want this poll question to read, David? Baseball season ended last night. How much baseball did you watch this year? Is that what we're doing?
I like it.
None, very little, watch regularly?
Yeah.
What are we doing for the play?
Um.
Can you get one of the touchdowns from the UCF?
Well, there was an interesting play last night. Some guy got a hit off of his brother. But
Okay. Can you find it?
yeah.
Yeah, Klecko, we mentioned that just the second time in franchise history, Reds lost 100 games. No, and we mentioned that yesterday, that heading into the final day of the baseball season, what are we seeing for the last time? I mean, Pujols didn't play, but we mentioned that it could very well be Cabrera's last game, although he said he's going to play in the World Baseball Classic. But if I'm the Marlins, by the way, I'd pick him up for next year.
Who?
I would. Cabrera. I'd sign him to a veteran minimum deal. Let him finish where he started. Also, they got a lot of young players. He's great with the young players. And I think he'd basically serve as a hitting coach. And boy, could they use one.
That would actually be awesome. Also, we're coming back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, the first such Thursday of October. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Matt Cannata to talk NFL in a little over 30 minutes. Roy Cummings to talk about the Bucs 1 hour from now. And Matt Baker to talk college football in 90 minutes. Dr. Roto will be back next Thursday. Next Thursday, we'll resume with Dr. Roto. Thursday night football tonight, Colts at Broncos. No Jonathan Taylor for the Colts, Mark. And today is the day off before the baseball playoffs get underway tomorrow. Can I make you a network television executive?
Please.
All right, 4 games. By the way, 3 of them will be on the 4-letter network, and 1 will be on ABC. So noon, 4, and 8 on ESPN, 2 o'clock tomorrow on ABC. Of the 4 playoff series, one of them's easy. The Padres and the Mets are going to get the 8 o'clock slot.
Right.
That's a guarantee. So Rays, Guardians, Phillies, Cardinals, Mariners, Blue Jays.
Mariners Blue Jays would be my first game out of the chute.
Yeah, same.
Because I've got Toronto.
Right.
I'm not getting any audio. I mean, if I'm a network executive, I've only got Seattle and Toronto. So I would be fighting that between Rays and Guardians of games I want to get out of the way.
Well, they decided to get the Rays Guardians out of the way. In fact, the Rays and the Guardians will play at noon Friday and Saturday. And then I believe if there's a game 3, it will be played at 4 o'clock on Sunday.
I would have the Phillies Cardinals, the game closest to the Mets Padres from a standpoint of you got the Philadelphia market, and St. Louis is one of the best baseball markets in the country, if not the best.
Well, that's the game they put on ABC at 2 o'clock. They decided basically that, middle of the country, it's a 1 o'clock local start, 2 Eastern, Phillies Cardinals. So Rays Guardians get the noon slot Friday, Saturday. Phillies Cardinals tomorrow get 2 o'clock on ABC. And I think the reason they went 4 o'clock, Seattle, Toronto, is that if they went noon, that'd be 9 a.m. for Mariners fans. Now, see, you love that, Mr. British Open, Mr. Wimbledon. That's another reason why you'd schedule it.
Oh, morning radio, get to finish the show right as the game starts.
Right. And then the midday show's doing the post-game wrap. And
Oh.
yeah.
It's lovely.
So Rays and Guardians at noon. The Phillies and Cardinals get ABC tomorrow at 2. You know, there aren't really soap operas anymore. I mean, you used to schedule something like this, the switchboards would just light up.
Still got Young and the Restless. General Hospital.
Well, GH is ABC.
Yeah, General Hospital's still on.
Right. So you might get a few phone calls and a few switchboards going, what the heck is this? What sport is this? What?
Every time I go to my mother's in the afternoon, she's still watching them.
Really?
Still watches them.
What's the storyline that interests her? I mean, can you do me a favor next time you see your mom? Said, David has a question. What storyline have you not seen or heard before that you're continuing to watch for?
Now, it's not appointment viewing. You know, it's not every day, but it's on. And as she always says, well, Mark, I only need to watch 5-10 minutes to figure everything that's going on.
Well, that is true.
But I was just stunned to see, just to see that not only are they on, but there is still an audience for them, apparently.
Although Days of Our Lives is going streaming only. I don't know if they've made the move yet or they're about to, but streaming only. Fans are...
Well, it might be a way to bring 3, 4, 5 people back from the dead.
That is true. Hey, what happened? Well, they went to Peacock, and that just anything.
And there's Marlena.
Right. So Seattle, Toronto at 4, and then Mets Padres get the 8:00 slot on ESPN tomorrow. First day of the baseball playoffs tomorrow, 4 games, and then the same 4 on Saturday. It's not like there's another series or anything. This is it. These are the 4 series, best of 3. Get them over with this weekend. Let's go. Let's move this sucker along. This is what ESPN wanted
on Saturday.
I know. Like here, for example, Rays Guardians go to ESPN 2 on Saturday. All right. Toronto and Seattle on ESPN at 4. So there's no 3:30 ESPN college football game tomorrow. Mets Padres get the 7:30 ESPN slot. So there's no SEC football game. And then Phillies Cardinals go from ABC on Friday at 2:00 to ESPN 2 Saturday night. How about that? 2 baseball playoff games on ESPN 2.
People in the sport are cringing just about that. And I know it doesn't matter all that much, but it will matter as far as, ESPN 2 is not as many households. It won't do the number. It just simply doesn't.
Yeah, it's exposure. And by the way, if the Phillies and Cardinals go the distance, Sunday night, 8:30 on the Deuce for Phillies Cardinals. Ouch. But this is what Disney wanted, by the way. If you're curious as to why this schedule is what it is, this is exactly what ESPN negotiated. When they sat down with Major League Baseball a couple years ago, they said, we want less regular season games. We're not interested in the Monday, Wednesday stuff. We'll do a Sunday night baseball game every week. That's it. That's basically all we'll do. And then we want a playoff series around. And if you've noticed, all these games are on either ABC, ESPN, or ESPN2. They own the best of 3. They own the wild card round. That's what they wanted. And then I think, don't quote me, but I think beginning next week when we go the divisional round, that's where it becomes Turner and Fox.
But they're putting college football on ABC on Saturday night. If I've got this right, they're putting Clemson, Boston College on?
Yeah. Well, they can't run an SEC game because CBS's primetime game is this Saturday night, Texas A&M and Alabama.
I got you. But they're taking the baseball playoffs and putting them on the Deuce and putting Clemson, BC on ABC.
Correct. You'll get 2 baseball games Saturday night, one on ESPN, Mets Padres, one on the Deuce, Phillies Cardinals. So instead of 2 SEC games, which is what you've been used to, you'll get no SEC games and you'll like it. And then, yes, on ABC, Clemson, by the way, I think gets 3 primetime games in a row because they're getting one the following week too. So I think Clemson's getting 3 primetime games in a row on ABC. The first 3 Saturdays in October. Well, CBS is airing Alabama 3 straight Saturdays in October.
Right.
So there you have it.
The thing is, though, is we know that Alabama's going to be playing in January. We don't know yet if Clemson's going to be. They look really strong. No, they looked really strong, but a blemish probably does them in.
I'll tell you what, though, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. First off, if you look around the rest of the country, I mean, Mark, according to the pollsters, and I'm doing the air quotes there, I mean, right now there's only 6 elite teams in the sport. And if you're one of the 6 and you lose a game, how far out of the playoff are you? This goes back to what I was saying, Mark. Are we sure Utah's out when they lost to Florida? And you thought they were. And I said, I got to be honest. I think if they run the table, they could still be there.
Boy, I think that's still going to be tough. I think that loss is going to be damning. I really do.
The good thing for Utah is, what is USC? Undefeated. So if and when they get them, they'll be getting a team that's damn near in the top 5, probably won't slide too far. Not sure who else is on their schedule that's going to beat them. So that's why I don't think that conference is dead. Because if you think about it, I mean, you got the big 3 in whatever order you want to put them in: Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Michigan, USC. And then there's basically a line. And it's like, well, now we start dealing with everybody else. We'll give Tennessee some love, Oklahoma State some love, pat them on the head. That's cute. That's nice. But,
Penn State's the team to me that could jump in. They've got to beat Michigan to do so. But you're just, at that point, you're replacing Penn State in Michigan. That's all you're really doing.
And then 2 weeks later, Penn State would host Ohio State. But you do wonder, by the way, we talk all the time about 2 teams from the SEC. Could the loser of Ohio State, Michigan get in the playoff? I mean, if Michigan beats Penn State in Ann Arbor in 2 Saturdays, they're favored in 11 of the 12 games they're going to play this year. If they go to Ohio State and lose a 7-point game, 31-24, slugfest, good game. Hats off to the Buckeyes. They post their 13-0 and win the conference, and you're sitting there at 11-1. I mean, Mark, that's where you bring up if Clemson were to lose a game. We'd have the 1-loss Clemson, theoretically, and then whoever is, Ohio State, Michigan loser.
Michigan's loss is just better.
Bama, but also Bama, in theory, Bama, Georgia loser.
Right. And their loss is better. I mean, there are scenarios out there where you can see it's Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Michigan are the 4 teams. This is before we start the whole Fox, ESPN, college football wars.
Correct. Yep. Never mind.
I mean, put it this way. Your Utah theory, if Michigan's only loss is to the Buckeyes in a good game, and Utah's only loss is to Florida?
Week 1, though, versus week 12 or 13.
I got you.
I do think that plays in. But no, we all know that from a ranking standpoint. But here's the other thing, though. Conference champion, and they'll get one more W. Mark, it'd be 2006 all over again. When Michigan lost to Ohio State in a terrific game, and they were 11-1, and Florida won the SEC at 12-1. And ultimately, they pushed Florida forward.
But would they reward a Pac-12 champion over a Michigan team with 1 loss to Ohio State, with where we have the Pac-12 in the college football pantheon right now? I don't know. But you're still on Team Utah with a shot, and maybe you're right, but they're going to have to run the table. When we come back, we'll talk quarterbacks and something they said. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth. that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'm actually really excited for Blue Jays Mariners. I think that'll be a great series.
I agree. If you like baseball.
They could use a series like that.
Name 3 Mariners.
Julio Rodriguez. And Julio Rodriguez.
Right.
He's
Canada relief, it doesn't matter anymore about the whole vaccinated, unvaccinated. Canada dropped it.
And Daddy Delaney, I don't have an updated scoop on Brett Favre because he's gone radio silent. They kicked him off for the Sirius show that he was doing.
Yep.
I think he's in deep doo-doo. I mean, I think go to jail doo-doo. He's not a good person.
He hired a very high-profile attorney.
So maybe he avoids jail and just pays the money back and pays some fines, but
No, I got in the car. I drove to Jacksonville. I'm on a plane Saturday because we have a night game, so I can fly in the morning. And it's just to Atlanta, and then I drive. But yeah, I was going to be in Southwest Florida for the whole month of October.
they're going to get snow in Michigan today.
No. No. October 6th? Are we just talking like Upper Peninsula or?
Upper Peninsula and the upper northwest portion of the state. Oh, at least the latest tropical depression that was on the same thing is just going to go attack Central America. I was nervous when they, early on, they were like, oh, good. We got one coming, another one coming.
By the way, Paper City Gamer, where have you been? Man, I can't believe you just listening to this show. You didn't realize that the Cleveland's no longer the Indians.
No, I'm just looking at Adam's comment there.
Yeah, I know. Well, Adam, considering I got here about 4:30 yesterday and I was asleep 5 hours later.
Not a lot of electricity, then, is what you're saying?
There's no electricity in my life right now. Maybe today, Adam. I'll be out and about today. Got a big day planned. Best Buy, Jersey Mike's, big day.
Yeah, David's got to figure out where all the chains are that are close to his house.
I
Well, I
already
find
know.
a local place that's might
I
have
already know, Mark. 2 miles down the road, make a right.
Oh, my goodness.
Never mind the St. John's Town Center, which is just Gulf Coast Town Center on steroids. In fact, St. John's Town Center is probably Gulf Coast Town Center and the other one combined.
Oh, I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but the Gulf Coast Town Center sign that you see on the highway, like a bunch of the letters are gone.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to know what the Beasleys are going to do with their billboard.
Well, now give them a chance to change it and actually get the stations right.
Right. That's the first thing I thought of. 30 seconds.
Adam, I don't have to. I'm friends with JP. We talk regularly. I'm up to date on the Jags, baby. Don't you worry.
Coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I come at you from my new home in Jacksonville, Mark in the cozy confines of Southwest Florida, in the 239. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. Is our poll question up?
It is. Been up for a while, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
It's your baseball question.
All right.
Baseball season ended last night, which is more of a PSA for everybody on Twitter. How much baseball did you watch this year? None, very little, watch regularly. Right now, watch regularly, getting 45% of the vote.
There we go. And I only voted once.
Don't
All
worry,
right.
It's early. We just passed the baseball hour, David. I expect the numbers to change drastically throughout the day.
You're right. To right around this middle segment, the 7 o'clock hour. And then so the football, basketball audience, hockey audience arrives. And my baseball takes. I don't want to say, Mark, that maybe some people don't pay attention to baseball, but we just had a gentleman in a Twitch chat room said he didn't realize that the Indians changed their name to the Guardians. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Right. So I think it's fair to say he wasn't paying attention to the baseball season this year.
So I'm guessing you caught these comments, but Colin Cowherd not only does a radio show, but does a podcast, The Volume, and he had Joe Burrow on it. Did you see Burrow's comments from the last episode of The Volume?
Was it about concussions?
Yes. Burrow basically said that he doesn't remember. There have had some games where I don't remember the second half, or I don't remember the entire game. Or I know I got a little dizzy at one point, but nothing long lasting. I've been hit and forgot the rest of the game before. It's happened a couple of times, but never one where I have headaches for like a week and I have symptoms of a concussion after the game. Went on to talk about how players hide symptoms. Things we all know.
Right.
But put them out there publicly.
Right. And the question then becomes, what, if anything, is the league going to do about this? And it's a fine line because, let's face it, Mark, when the Bengals are playing, does the league want Joe Burrow under center, or do they want the kid they drafted in the 4th round 3 years ago from NC State?
It's obvious. We all need a Joe Burrow, David. We've established that on this show.
Thank you. So you start getting into the, hey, you suffer a concussion, you're out the game. what if you go even further? You suffer a concussion, you're out that game and the next, which goodness knows medically you could make the case for. I don't think it's an outrageous case to make that, hey, you suffered a concussion, you probably get next week off. I mean, Tua's not playing, and that's just with a neck and a back injury.
That one is, I mean, and I think that's what this all stems from, is obviously you're asking questions about what happened to Tua, and Burrow was very forthcoming of all the times that he's been injured, where he doesn't remember parts of games or half of games or the entire football game.
Here's the other part to this that's rarely talked about. Mark, have you heard of a former player who, when asked the question, would you do it all again, who says no? Now, I know there are some, you could probably Google it right now, and there'd be a handful that you could find. But we're talking a handful out of tens of thousands. When you ask these men later on in life, when they are suffering from what they put their bodies through, and you ask them as they are in daily pain and they are hobbling around and they have had numerous post-career surgeries that are directly related to playing, would you do it all over again? You can barely get the sentence out of your mouth before they say yes.
And Burrow says those things. You know, he finished with all of it by saying, you can make all the rules you want to make the game as safe as you possibly can, but there's an inherent risk and danger with the game of football. You're going to have head injuries. You're going to tear your ACL. You're going to break your arm. That's the game we play. That's the life we live, and we get paid handsomely for it. I think going into every game, we know what we are getting ourselves into. And they do.
Mm-hmm. You know, and some are bringing up in our Twitch chat room, you know, and hey, they want to go to 18. Yeah, of course the league does. The league's about money. Yeah, and by the way, the players are about playing and making money. Now, for now, the players have said no. It's about the only good thing the union's done for the players in the last 10 years. But Mark, if 10 years from now, when the CBA's up and the league's going to want 18, my $20, they're going to get 18?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, if the players were smart, this time they'd really get what they should get. They should look the owner straight in the face and say, this is a 5-second conversation. Fully guarantee all the contracts will give you 18 games. And that's it, by the way. That's it. You get up and you walk. That's it. You want 18 games, you fully guarantee every contract. I think, by the way, it's a fair trade.
And I think the league would sign up for it.
I don't.
You don't think they go to 18 games for fully guaranteed?
I don't.
And you think the players will end up caving then and they'll get 18 because they end up getting what they want anyhow?
Right. But if I were the players, that would be where I'd come from.
We did something dangerous today, David. Time for the Clutch Vodka play of the day. But I can look you dead in the eye and tell you, I'm not exactly sure what it is. We left this in the hands of Felipe.
Whoa! Our Southeast correspondent?
And with basketball preseason going on, I have no idea what direction could go. I suggested something. He said, hey, how about this?
Well, you know.
I said, get to work, kid.
You know, it was a pretty boring night in sports, but there was a nice little interesting play. Phillies second baseman Nick Manton got a base hit off of his brother.
And a line drive, base hit into right center field. What a reaction for the Phillies dugout as Nick gets a base hit off his brother Phil. I wonder if he'll keep the baseball or if Phil will give it to him.
He should throw the baseball out, right?
He should throw the baseball out, right?
And that's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, very clutch today, getting this all done himself, finding the play. A little baseball, David. Yesterday was the last day of the baseball season. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Well, I am, and I was, Mark. Talked about it all day yesterday. Been talking about the first 90 minutes of the show today. Yeah. Also, Oakland A's catcher Stephen Vaught, who had announced his retirement, he homered yesterday in his last game. Kind of cool.
Very cool. That's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Clutch Vodka, reminder, they're having their Dolphin watch parties at Seaside in Bonita Springs. The great Bloody Mary bar, Seaside, great little spot at the corner of 41 and Old 41 in Bonita. Good spot to watch the games. Check out the Clutch Vodka Bloody Mary bar and catch a little Dolphins football every Sunday.
Felipe, as Paul points out in our Twitch chat room, that was kind of your showcase right there. And it may not have made the grade. Okay, because just saying, you get an opportunity like this to be our Southeast Florida Sports Network correspondent. You got to come through, baby.
Oh, come on. I could have gone with so many preseason basketball plays, but I wouldn't have heard the end of it.
I thought for sure it was going to be LeBron's back-to-back three-pointers. That's what I was expecting.
I was thinking about doing that, but I was like, nah, let me spare the audience since, the NBA is so unbearable to you guys.
Well, it took a year, but he's getting the hang of it.
He's finally figuring this thing out, isn't he?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Maybe he does listen. I'll be damned.
Well, that's why I'm the Southeast correspondent, because there's an NBA team over there.
That's
exactly.
Right. See?
He's listening. Can't believe it.
I'll tell you.
We'll listen to Matt Cannata coming up next. We'll talk some NFL and some Miami Dolphins with Matt Cannata from Pro Football Network. That's next on Miller and Moulton. We thank you so much for listening. Where else but right here on the Florida Sports Network. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I did. Just saying that an octopus would have been cooler. I forgot. I got to get to work today. I got to make all new banners. If we're going to be doing all the guests this way, I got to make layouts for everybody.
Well, I mean, I'm anticipating phones by next week, aren't you?
Yeah, but Samson said he'd rather do it the way he did it. I think most,
okay.
Most of these, if we can get him this way, the interviews, I mean, we can see him. The interviews are better.
I agree.
Pat flat out said, I'd rather do it this way. So we'll continue to do it that way with Kerwin. It sounds better.
Yes. And you're right. If we can look at one another, it goes better.
Very weird seeing Bonita Springs, Florida on the bottom of a page.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt.
What's up, guys?
Good morning. Thank you so much for doing it this way. We
no problem.
obviously still reeling with Ian here, trying to get everything back in order.
You guys okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. My son's name is Ian. And actually, I have family in Tampa. I think I told you guys this before. I don't know if you were watching the news. Maybe you saw it, but a tree fell down like almost on them, on their lanai. Completely wiped it out. It's crazy.
It has been nuts down here. I was just saying, it's so weird watching the Today Show's on in the background because our satellite doesn't even work in the studio. Just when they've got the underscores and you're seeing your hometown, in the little towns, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
What's the hat?
This is actually the Marlins hat, Miami Marlins. I was down there right before the hurricane hit, and went to a game because it was like $5 to sit behind home plate. So we took full advantage of it.
I was going to say you had a whole section to yourself, did you?
We basically did, yeah. It was nice. We were there for the Dolphins-Bills game, which was hot. Very hot.
It was.
Very, very hot.
Oof. It's tough doing September football down here, man.
I don't come down often in September, but yeah, I could see.
That is if it doesn't even rain out. Right. 15 seconds.
Thanks for doing this, Matt.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's do it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm in my new home of Jacksonville. Mark in the cozy confines of Southwest Florida, although not as cozy these days. Matt Cannata, kind enough to join us. 2 N's, 1 T from Pro Football Network, profootballnetwork.com. You can follow him on Twitter, Cannata PFN. You can follow the site on Twitter at PFN365. Matt, David, and Mark, how are you?
Always great to join you guys. Hope you guys are doing okay from the storm and recovering quickly.
We are, and it will be a long road, as everybody well knows, but things are going along very well. The two of us got out of this pretty easily compared to a lot of people that we know and things of that nature. Speaking of trying to get out of it easily, the Dolphins, with this whole Tua story, and first the neck and back injury. And now we've actually admitted that it was a concussion. We fired a doctor. Are there more repercussions coming Miami's way?
So there's supposed to be a report coming out. They said they're hoping to get it out today before Broncos-Colts kick off on Thursday Night Football. The problem is that there is just so much of the optics around the situation that you have to come down hard, not necessarily on the Dolphins. I don't think they're going to come down on the Dolphins because this investigation has wrapped up very quickly. You have to come down on the process and the protocol. And I think what you're going to see is not punishment for the Dolphins or besides the doctor who got fired, which from what we understand, obviously I don't want to comment on too much because it's very legal and so forth. But from what we understand, it was more based on a technicality than an actual big mistake. And so it was kind of like the NFLPA was trying to find a reason, and again, for the optics, to show that they're doing something about it. So I think what you'll see when this report comes out, and maybe I'm completely off base with this, but I think what you'll see is stricter procedures with the concussion protocol. I know there was a lot of talk about the different testing that goes on with that and the different phases that you have to pass. So I think you'll see a much more rigid and a much more stricter policy around those things rather than seeing any other team get punished in this.
Matt, do we think that essentially the Tua rule going forward is going to be if they deem you to have suffered a concussion during a game, you're out for the rest of the game?
I wouldn't be surprised. That seems like a very realistic and logical step to take. Remember, when you get knocked out in boxing, I believe that you can't do anything for 60 days, right? And so the NFL, you can go back in 3 plays later if you pass the test. And so I think that's a very logical step that the NFL and NFLPA will take, where it's you have a concussion, get out of the rest of the game, and let's reevaluate moving forward. And maybe it's even that game and the next game.
But Miami went out and got themselves a quality backup. I mean, looking forward, this is why Bridgewater's there. Now the Dolphins have to try to do really what the Cowboys have done, because Cooper Rush has been fantastic. Even if they lose this week, 3-1, you can't ask for anything better out of a backup. Miami's being put to the test. They have one of the better backups. This is why they went out and signed Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I believe that he is the highest paid backup in the NFL. And you look at the Cowboys, Cooper Rush, right, 4-0. And he's just holding on the fort. He's doing what he needs to do, and he's actually doing better than what people thought he could do. And Bridgewater is a veteran. He's in his 9th season. He has his teams have beaten the Jets 2 times. When he's faced the Jets, obviously completely different regimes, but still the same team nonetheless. He's completed about 73% of his passes, 544 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. And his career passer rating against the Jets is 111.4. Now, again, that's different because Robert Saleh's there. They have different coordinators. What I'm going to be interesting to see on Sunday, I have the utmost confidence. The team has the utmost confidence in Bridgewater to execute the game plan the right way. He's a veteran, right? He's done this before. He was the starter in Minnesota. He was their prize draft pick before that gruesome knee injury that he suffered. What I'm interested to see is that Saleh and McDaniel work together in San Francisco. And I think what you're going to see is a lot of back and forth chess matches. And it's going to be interesting to see which side comes out victorious. I think the Dolphins, there's no question they have more talent. They have the better quarterback, even with Bridgewater over Zach Wilson. They have the better defense. So we'll just kind of have to see where this kind of plays out from here.
Well, and Matt, with that in mind, this is an important game. I mean, if you're going to be what it is that you are saying you are,
yeah.
I mean, it's not an easy game. It's a road division opponent. They're feeling better about themselves than they have in years. Okay, but this is the type of game you go on the road and you win 27-20, right? And you get on the plane and you go home and you go, wow, they're better than they were, but, you know, we took care of business.
I mean, the Dolphins started off 3-0, right? And coming off that game against Buffalo on Sunday, I think all the cards were stacked against the Dolphins, even with Tua there, right? You just played in 100-plus degree weather. Your defense played 90-plus snaps on the field. It was just exhausting to be out there, and then to turn around and play basically 3 days later. That's a lot, but they were still in position to win that game. They had several opportunities. If they made a stop here, if they made a stop there, if they completed the pass here, they could have been in that game and won that game, actually. And so if you're going to be considered a playoff contender, and after the talk of how they went 3-0 to start the season, people were even mentioning the word Super Bowl, which was quite early to do that. But still, if you want to be in that discussion, You have to go in and take care of a Jets team who has struggled. They beat the Steelers on Sunday, but overall they've struggled to find their identity, and they have a second-year QB in Zach Wilson. And you're absolutely correct. You have to go in. You have to take care of business. You have to win this game pretty handedly to be considered in that discussion. You wouldn't see the Chiefs walk in or the Bills walk in there and play a close 3-point game against the Jets, right? You would expect them to blow out the Jets. And for the Dolphins to be taken seriously, even with a backup QB, they have to go in and dominate this game.
They lost to Cincinnati. Now Cincinnati sitting with two other teams at 2-2. Who do you trust the most in the AFC North right now?
Oh, who do I trust the most? That's a great question. Well, you got Baltimore, right? Lamar Jackson's betting on himself. You got Cleveland, who's kind of iffy here and there. Jacoby Brissett, I think you know who he is. And maybe he can squeak out a few extra wins there based on his experience and so forth. You look at the Bengals, I think they are going to ultimately, try to turn it around. But remember, guys, when we were talking previously, before the season started, you asked me who had the best chance of regression. And I said the Bengals, right? And that's because I think they had a lot of lucky wins last year and a lot of lucky situations and a lot of balls bounced their way. And so I think we're starting to see it a little bit. But if I had to pick one, I'd say the Ravens. I think they've shot themselves in the foot 2 games this season. They've been super aggressive. They should have won the Dolphins game. Still don't know how they lost that, but John Harbaugh was super aggressive on that 4th down play on his own side of the field. And he was super aggressive against the Bills, even though they came out with a big lead. They could have played a little more conservatively, milked that lead a little bit, and come out victorious. So I think they'll figure it out. Lamar Jackson's betting on himself as long as he stays healthy. I think the Ravens are ultimately going to be that team to beat in the AFC North.
Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network, profootballnetwork.com. All right. Follow Matt on Twitter at Cannata PFN, Cannata 2 N's 1 T PFN. Follow Pro Football Network on Twitter at PFN 365. Anybody that you were high on that you've bailed on? Like, the two of us were high on the Saints. We're like right at the edge of the cliff to bail on the Saints. I was very high on the Raiders, and I see them going to 1-4 Monday, and I don't really know how you recover from that. So I've bailed on the Raiders. Anybody you've bailed on?
Yeah, the AFC West, right? That was supposed to be this super division that everybody was talking about, and everybody was going to see just them eat each other's throats, and that has not been the case at all. If you had to pick one team, and again, I said this before when we talked in the preseason, is that I thought you would see the Colts take a huge step forward, and it has been the complete opposite. I'm really surprised at the just lack of success the Colts are having. Everyone thought, okay, you had this really good team last year. You had a really solid team, and the only issue was the QB, right, in Carson Wentz. They got rid of him. They went out and got Matt Ryan, and everyone thought, despite his age, that he would come in and be able to at least manage the game effectively in a way that Carson Wentz was not. And so there's something going on there. I don't know if it's the head coach, Frank Reich. I don't know if it's the GM, Chris Ballard. I don't know if it's just talent not gelling together. Jonathan Taylor, who I'm sure everyone who had the first pick in their fantasy draft selected Jonathan Taylor, has not been nearly the same guy he was last year. And now he's injured for a little bit. The Colts are on a downward spiral, and I don't see how they can turn this thing around. You'll see some changes after this year in Indy because Jim Irsay, the owner, almost made the changes last year. And so that is one team I have completely bailed on. I thought they would win the AFC South, and they're not even close to doing that.
And Mark, I'll just interject here. The two of us, for the record, Matt, have been saying, do you know what the changes need to be in Indianapolis? Some wide receivers.
Yeah.
They don't have any, and they haven't.
And they had money to get them on the cap. I mean, they had the money, they had the opportunity, and they didn't go out and get anybody really in free agency, Matt.
Yeah. Remember, Chris Ballard is not a huge free agency fan, and that's what bugs me about some GMs. They're so stubborn and stuck in their ways that they don't know how to adjust. I think Chris Greer, for as much criticism as he had in Miami, he was able to adjust, right? He saw a very weak draft class this year, so he basically traded away almost all his draft picks for proven talents like Tyreek Hill, who has changed the game and has been directly responsible for a few of these Dolphins wins so far. But Ballard, he's very stuck in his ways of building through the draft. He's a very old school kind of guy. Remember, he came up under John Dorsey, the former Chiefs and the Browns GMs, right? And so it's hard for me to watch people not be able to adjust on the fly and kind of change their strategy based on what's in front of them.
Matt, love the fact that you did this on your site, and got to give you kudos because we have Pat Kerwin on our show twice a week, and Pat on his NFL Sirius show, they rank top 5 positions before the season. And I said to him, I go, that's great. But with the injuries that are coming on, you guys are now ranking the offensive lines during the season. I think it's an article that literally every NFL fan needs to read because, yeah, we always worry about our fantasy guys and we worry about who's scoring and things of that nature. But to get into what's going on a week-by-week basis on the offensive line is really the crux of what's happening in the league this year, Matt.
Right. And that's we did a little bit of this last year. We kind of experimented with it, and we said this year we're going to do it weekly. And so the week 5 offensive line rankings are up on our site, profootballnetwork.com. You can view them every single week. They publish on Wednesday mornings. And that is ultimately it, right? You talk about running backs, you talk about wide receivers, you talk about tight ends, you talk about quarterbacks. It all starts up front in the offensive line. And I know it's so kind of niche or cliche to say everything starts in the trenches, but it honestly really, really does. And if you do not have the offensive line, your QB's not going to do anything. You know, we talked about Tom Brady and his mortality in the NFL and just how him not having an offensive line in the past has led to bad results for him and his surrounding cast. You have to look at the OL because injuries happen, changes happen, and it affects the entire way a team plays. You look at Trevor Lawrence on Sunday, who fumbled, I think, 4 or 5 times because he wasn't getting the protection that he needed. You look at Russell Wilson in Seattle before he got traded to the Broncos. Their offensive line was a hot mess because he was getting sacked every other play. I mean, look at Matthew Stafford against the 49ers this past Monday, was it? He was getting sacked all over the place, and he couldn't do anything. So it starts up there. If you don't have time in the pocket, your receivers can't run your routes. If you don't have the right blocking, your runners can't find the open lanes. It's extremely important.
Well, can you explain to me then why GMs aren't signing capable offensive linemen? Eric Fisher graded out in the middle of the pack for tackles last year. You mean to tell me he's couldn't at least be a swing tackle, if not a starting tackle in this league? I mean, you know, I know that Shredder is retired, but he retired because his phone didn't ring. He was a starting center in the league for the last 9 years. You mean to tell me he can't play in the league now? I mean, Matt, what's going on? When did GM stop signing good players?
I think it's a great question, right? Because it's like, hey, just sign a guy. I think good offensive linemen are tough to find. I think good offensive line coaches are hard to find. I think you see a lot of recycling, not just at the offensive line coaching position, but all throughout the coaching ranks in the NFL. I think GMs might be afraid to spend money on a non-skill position because, you know, they're not touching the ball. And even when you see GMs draft offensive linemen, right, their fan bases, what do they say? The smart fans know that it's a great pick. The flyby fan, the casual fan, it's not the sexy name, right? And so they get upset because we just drafted another offensive lineman, but it matters. And you know, in regard to Fisher, I know we talked about him as well. He had several contract offers on the table, but it just wasn't enough for him to say, okay, I'm going to come back and play. JC Treader, that was totally off the field related. He was basically blackballed by GMs because of his initiatives with the NFLPA and leading that charge, which is just crazy to see. But this is, you know, when you learn how the sausage is made, sometimes you start to get turned off a little bit. And unfortunately, the bad side of what I do, and I'm sure you guys see it too with what you do, is how the sausage is made. It's not always pretty.
He's Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network, profootballnetwork.com. Check out the site. It is outstanding. You can follow Matt on Twitter, Cannata, 2 N's, 1 T, PFN, Cannata PFN. You can also follow the site on Twitter at PFN365. Matt, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. Safe travels this weekend, and hopefully we can talk soon.
All right, guys, take care.
Matt Cannata joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Yeah, I don't care what the office politics are. Besides, what in the world has the NFLPA done that's really hurt the NFL? I mean, seriously, what could J.C. Treader have done to make him unsignable? Are you serious? Because he advocated for a little
line players right now.
Yeah, because he advocated for a little bit of player safety. I mean, you guys ignore him anyway. What's the problem?
Miller and Moulton. We'll switch from a little Dolphin and NFL talk to straight Bucs talk. It's Roy Cummings next on Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Red alert. Red alert. Clutch Vodka in the building. Oh, Mark got a Jags bottle. The Jags bottle is really cool. He's coming back now. You guys are going to see it.
Some live advertising here.
Give you 2 bottles of vodka, and then you come in and get in front of the camera, don't you?
That's all right. The Twitch chat room's just going after him, though. Every time he does it, they go after him hard. Does that guy drive a chick car? That's better than your play of the day, Philly.
Anthony gave Felipe a bottle of vodka because he didn't use a basketball play as play of the day.
Yep, that's what he told me.
Texted me the same thing, by the way.
Wow. Well, at least he's listening.
Oh, yeah. He's down. They're doing stuff on the beach. I'm going to go down there tomorrow with Maddie and help. I guess they had someone down there where there's going to bring TVs and they're going to have like a Dolphin. I got to see it but maybe a Dolphins watch party down there for people, which would be really
wow.
Cool. Yeah.
Wait, the Phillies have a pitcher named Jose Alvarado?
Yep.
Oh, see, I think of Pelicans point guard Jose Alvarado, who none of you probably know in the Twitch chat, of course.
Now, in theory, all risk, it's just 2 places a week.
That Jags bottle is cool. Jags have a cool logo.
They do.
They do.
Yeah. Cool colors, too. I like it. I only want what's best for the Jags. Ever since that AFC Championship game loss, Bucs just robbed that game from them. Or Bucs, my gosh, Patriots. The team with Tom Brady.
What's interesting on their offensive line rankings on this article, David, in the bottom rankings are the Rams and the Titans. I mean, the rest of the team and the Raiders. Hi, Roy.
Hey, guys. How we doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Whoops.
Whoop.
What'd you do? We had you, Roy, and you just went away. Uh-oh. Are you texting him?
No.
All right. There it is. He's back.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem.
You're just messing with us, aren't you?
No, I didn't plan to.
All right. We're ready in 10 seconds.
Okay.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it's the 8 o'clock hour of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Matt Baker from the Tampa Bay Times will join us coming up in about 35 minutes' time. We'll talk some college football. But 8 o'clock on Thursdays means it's Roy Cummings time. He at pewterpirates.com and Bay News 9 in Tampa. You can follow Roy on Twitter at rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. Roy, it's David and Mark. Hope your week has gone well. How are you?
Guys, I am fine. I'm everything's fine here. I have that question for you guys. And how are things where you are? I know you guys, unfortunately, were in the direct path of that storm. And believe me, I when I say this, I'm being honest. I have prayed for you guys and for everyone around you every day, and will continue to do so until everybody puts their lives back together. How's everybody there?
Well, we're very lucky, the two of us, and came out of this clean. But as you well know, you've seen the pictures. It's going to be a long road to recovery in Southwest Florida. Fort Myers Beach is decimated. The barrier islands are bad. Cape Coral still in rough shape, but small steps. Getting the little bridge to Pine Island yesterday was a big deal. They'll get the temporary bridge to Sanibel, they're saying, by the end of the month. So things are starting to happen, and you see the resiliency of a community in things like this. That is certainly the case, Roy. So thank you for your thoughts and your prayers, because they're needed this time, definitely down here.
They'll keep coming, I promise.
And unfortunately, Charlotte County, second time in a generation to be hit with a major storm. I know Lee County getting all the press, but Charlotte County also hit pretty hard. You could even see it on I-75, where there are parts of the highway. The light stanchions are still intact, but you could see the collateral damage on both sides of the highway when you get into Charlotte County. Speaking of collateral damage, boy. When you gut a team's strength, it really rocks you, and the Chiefs did just that to the Bucs.
There was every chance that this could have been the result in the Super Bowl a couple years back, because I always thought at that time the Chiefs were the better team, and not a lot has changed with either team, really. Obviously, Tyreek Hill is gone from the Chiefs, but it doesn't seem to matter. Rob Gronkowski is gone from the Buccaneers, but it seems to matter. The defense for the Bucs just not up to the task this past weekend, and I think that's what you have to chalk it up to. This season starting for the Buccaneers, this season starting to remind me a little bit of the Super Bowl season, where it took them a about half the year, maybe a little more, to really kind of find their footing. And I think the same thing might be happening here. I mean, obviously they've played very well defensively for the most part throughout the course of the season, but the offense, still having moments where it just can't seem to fire on all cylinders. The good thing was that in a couple of those drives, Tom Brady just fired it up and said, okay, here we go. We're going to go downfield. So there's something to be taken from that. A lot of good things, but at the end of the day, it showed that right now the Buccaneers are not with the elite in the NFL. They might be in the elite in their division, but I'm not sure that they're in the elite with their conference, and certainly not in the elite with the rest of the league at this point.
Well, their defense had been so strong, and the way that Kansas City just ran it down their throat is what surprised me coming away out of that game. We were pretty high up on the Tampa Bay defense. Should we still be that high up, or did Kansas City expose anything about how you can run the ball on Tampa?
Yeah, I think you have to go back and look at the film on that and see what happened. To me, I just saw a lot of exceptional blocking on the part of the Chiefs. I think their scheme was outstanding, and I think their execution was even better. There were just so many wide open holes, really, and that's going to happen. But it's kind of how you draw it up. And sometimes if it goes the way you draw it up, it's a successful play. I mean, plays are all designed to be successful. And again, I just think that the Buccaneers in this game were outcoached, outplayed, out game planned, and certainly out executed. And I think that was it. I wouldn't worry just yet because, again, the Bucs have, they played obviously some decent teams offensively. Green Bay, Dallas with Dak Prescott, played them very well, held them, were very tight. So I think they're going to be okay. But it's a wake-up call saying, look, there's some things that have to be worked on here. And if we ever face these guys again, hopefully they'll know better how to stop it.
Well, fortunately for the Bucs, they seem to be in a division. We thought the Saints were going to be a formidable team all year, and they're off to a 1-3 start, and they've got issues again. And so it seems, Roy, as if the Bucs are in the right place to kind of work through the issues that they have.
Totally agree. 100%. They are very fortunate, not just to be in the NFC South, but to be in the NFC. A lot of 2-2 teams there. A lot of teams trying to figure things out. I mean, obviously, the Eagles have kind of run away from everybody a little bit, but I think that the Bucs are as good as any team in that conference, or they can be. Again, a lot of work has to be done. I really think, going forward, I think they got to shore up that tight end position, and I'm not sure if it means bringing back somebody that was on the practice squad or something like that, but you've lost Cole Beasley now. And so I'm starting to wonder if, some of the patches just aren't as good as they hoped they would be, and if that's going to be a problem. But you're right. They're in the right division. They can still win the division. Look, they can go, 9-8 and win the division. And I don't think that'll be a problem for them. It's just really about getting to the tournament. And again, we learned this 2 years ago. Get to the tournament, and if you're playing your best football at that time and you get the right matchups, you can go a long way and you can carry that trophy at the end of the day. So it can still happen for them. This game, as bad as it was, as disturbing as it was at times, it doesn't change my opinion of where this team is headed long term.
Now, are you of the opinion that I am that Tom Brady will play for another 5 years with this pending divorce, Roy?
I'll tell you what, it's one or the other. It's either he plays for another 4 or 5 years, or he says, you know what, I've kind of had it. I've got to, if I've lost my wife, I don't want to lose the relationship I have with my kids now. So it's one or the other. And I'm a little concerned about Tom. I don't think he seems as focused right now as he has been in the past. Maybe this changes. It's going to be interesting just to kind of watch his body language here going forward. To me, when I've seen him the last couple of weeks, I see a player who's different than what I saw, certainly in New England, and even what I saw of him that first year here in Tampa. There was a drive in him. You could see it in his eyes. Right now, those eyes look a little cloudy. It's as if they're searching for something. It could be that right game plan for all we know, because that hasn't been put together yet. But I'm anxious to see where this goes for him. And either way, he can do whatever. If he plays for 5 years, great. If he decides to call it a season or a career after this, he's got every right in the world to do that. And it's been a great career, obviously. So, but right now, I think he needs kind of that fire inside him needs to be rekindled. We'll see if this does it.
Roy mentioned it. Cole Beasley, I think surprisingly, announced his retirement late yesterday. He came back and was excited and played one game and then decided, you know what, I've had enough. And it is surprising when you consider that the Bucs had a three-headed monster at tight end for the last 2 years, and now they're down to a banged-up Cameron Brate. And let's face it, Roy, for whatever reason, Brady and Brate have never really, jived in their 2+ years together. And I'm wondering, as crazy as it sounds, do you call the Houston Texans up and throw a 6th, 7th rounder and get O.J. Howard back?
I don't think they do that because I think the Bucs were very disappointed in O.J. Howard, and I'm not sure O.J. Howard is the answer. But I'm certainly looking around, and it's unfortunate that Cameron Brate, is now in the concussion protocol, and we'll see how he goes. Hopefully, he's going to be all right. He's dealt with a hip issue recently as well. Recently married. I'm sure he's probably starting to think about starting a family. Who knows what this is going to mean for that, or how that's going to impact his future going forward. But, you're right. The Cameron Brate connection with Tom Brady never is as solid as you would want it to be. And I think the fact that Rob Gronkowski was around had a lot to do with that, because that's the security blanket. Throw to Rob Gronkowski. Why wouldn't you? Even though Cameron Brate is, in my opinion, as good a pass-catching tight end as there is in the league. I mean, let's not forget, several years back, he led all tight ends in touchdowns and receptions. This was a few years ago, but I think he can do it again. If he gets healthy and the Bucs emphasize that position, I think that connection can get better, but you've got to have somebody behind him. And, they used to have a wealth of talent there. They don't anymore. And I think that's going to be a problem going forward, because Cole Beasley gave him another option inside the slot too. And now they don't have that. So if Julio Jones can't get healthy, if Chris Godwin's going to be on and off, they've got to find somebody who can become a weapon for him.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Who is Brady's security blanket? Because Godwin was it for a little while. Evans is a great receiver, but he's not the type of guy that is a security blanket type receiver. It seems that Julio was what they were designing, was Julio was going to fit that role, but he can't stay healthy. So who's the go-to guy for Tom Brady?
Well, it's Mike Evans now, because it has to be. But the problem with that is, if you let the world know that Mike Evans is your go-to guy, and who else are you going to go to? They're just going to double cover him, and that's going to become more adventurous. Who knows? It's going to be harder to make those passes. But the good thing about Tom Brady is he's going to find that open receiver. What's going to happen here, I think, is at some point the Bucs are going to have to really start to emphasize some of the other receivers in this offense and just throw to them until you take the pressure off of Mike Evans. So it's a tough call here for these guys. You might start to see Rachaad White a little bit more as a pass catcher, just because he's an option. Maybe put him out there on the wing a little bit and see what happens. They've got to get creative here, because right now, as we saw against Kansas City, their run game can be shut down. Everybody's starting to focus on Leonard Fournette. And if you focus on him and make this team one-dimensional, even with Tom Brady throwing 45 passes, which you don't want, at some point it's all going to catch up to you. So they've got to get back to being balanced. They've got to get back to being able to run the ball. And they've got to find someone outside of Mike Evans who can be a weapon and make use of it.
He's Roy Cummings, our weekly chat in which we talk about the Tampa Bay Bucs. Roy covers the Bucs, PeterPirates.com, and also Bay News 9 in Tampa Bay. Roy, as always, appreciate your time. All the best to you and your family.
Prayers to everyone. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Roy.
Roy Cummings. Follow him on Twitter, rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. Listen, Atlanta rushed for over 200 yards against the Browns. I mean, Brady's never lost to the Falcons. Suddenly, this is a game for first in the NFC South. Who'd have thunk it? But I think if they stop the run, they get to 3-2, and they can right the ship.
Miller and Moulton. They're going to have to right the ship because they need to find some offense. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater. They've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Hey, David.
Yes, sir.
Is it 98.1 in Cape Coral? 104.3 is Naples, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And 770.
On the Cape had tweeted at me. I don't even know. I don't even know if the Charlotte station's back. I'm guessing it is. Should have had you try to listen to it yesterday. I didn't even think about that.
Patterson's on the injured list for 4 weeks, so you don't have to worry about Cordarrelle. Well, that is one of the great mysteries, the whole, Pitts not really being involved.
That was one of the best parts of her little bit. The Annie Agar, Pitts, go block them.
Yeah.
That's all I could think of when you said it. It just made me laugh.
It's unreal. Between McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, and Kyle Pitts. Super Joe, I don't know what this part of Jacksonville is known as. I really don't.
Are you in the Jacks, the Sun, or the Ville?
I would guess the Sun. I know it's a very residential area. It's a mile or so from Bowles High School, and we're surrounded by nothing but homes and a golf course for about 2 miles in each direction. So it's quiet, I can tell you that. If there's a Jewish part to Jacksonville, we're in it because there's a few temples nearby and a school. So it seems to be in an older section of town. Oh, we'll meet up before then. Never mind if stuff happens, I got to drive down. I can get hotel rooms. We can do shows together. It's not a problem. I mean, during the pandemic, we did a show, from our respective bedrooms for 1.5 years. In our whole second act, we never did a show in a studio.
Correct.
4 years. We never did a show in a studio. It's in my car, Johnny Mac. It's a weapon if I need it.
Come back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Matt Baker, Tampa Bay Times, will join us in a little more than 15 minutes time. Dr. Roto will be back next week. Last week it was the storm. This week, quite frankly, it's my fault. And that and technology and what have you. But by next week, we'll have it worked out. And the doctor will be making his house calls. And he's been money this year. So I feel badly that he will not be with us in 15 minutes time, but he'll be back next week.
So today's sign of the apocalypse happened at the game you were at Monday night. You had the streaker, and not even a streaker. He wasn't even a streaker. He didn't have his clothes off. You had a person run onto the field, as I saw someone write, in the worst gender reveal ever. He had pink smoke coming out of his buttocks. And then he got just wrecked by Bobby Wagner.
Right.
Did you see what's happened since?
He filed suit.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He filed suit for assault because he streaked onto the field. And imagine this, security couldn't catch him, so a football player took it upon themselves to end it.
I will say it is a bad look for security when they can't chase down the folks that run onto the fields. And oftentimes it's a younger person running onto the field. But it is a bad look. I feel badly for them because let's face it, that's really not what they signed up for.
No, they're supposed to stand there and occasionally have to do something.
Right.
There's not running involved in security, David.
No. I mean, there's a walkie-talkie involved. I mean, wait, you want me to do
set
what?
Of keys.
Right. But yes, I always enjoy the athletes who sometimes it's the baseball outfielder who decides, I've had enough of this. In this case, it was Bobby Wagner, frustrated with how things are going. But I don't blame the players because let's face it, somebody running out on the field, we sure they don't have anything else on them but a gender reveal? Or a sign?
Exactly. I mean, go back to Monica Seles, who was stabbed by someone running onto a tennis court.
Right.
You don't have any idea what is coming on. And if I'm a football player, I'm lowering my shoulder and I'm taking him out.
Well, and also this is where we perform. This is where we work. You don't belong here. There's a seat right there for you, by the way, which you paid for. So, yeah, this is where you want there to be a way, could Wagner or somebody countersue and actually like inflict some financial damages on this person. It's seriously, this person needs to be taught a lesson.
But Eli had it right in his breakdown when he said, if you're going to streak, you got to go full throttle and go nude.
Well, Peyton, my understanding, was upset because the ESPN cameras would not show him. And remember, that was a change. If you watch TV in the 70s and the 80s, all right, they would show the protesters and you actually got a little bit of the streakers occasionally. Okay. And then they realized, well, we can't do this. I mean, if we can't show nudity in the 9:00 movie, how can we show nudity on Monday Night Baseball?
And then you had Morgana, the kissing bandit, for years, who would run out and give a little peck on the cheek and then get escorted off by security.
Was it Nolan Ryan who, like, when she ran out and he, like, pretended to be all flush and he dropped down to one knee, like, oh, kiss me, honey?
I remember one with George Brett. I don't remember one with Nolan Ryan, but I'm not saying that you're wrong. The one that sticks in my head is George Brett being very accepting of her little peck. And this is when George Brett was
maybe
the best baseball player on the planet.
And he also was quite the ladies' man.
Yes.
Too. Well known, actually. So, yeah, you're right. That is today's sign of the apocalypse, that the person who disrupted the game is suing because he was tackled.
Correct.
Football. So do you sue if security tackles you, or is it only because it's Bobby Wagner?
You outran security, but you couldn't outrun Bobby Wagner, who did layer a pretty good hit on him.
Yes. Now, I will say Joe completely ignored it. Joe mentioned that there's someone running on the field. The cameras never showed that person, and Joe literally then went into filler material with Troy. Peyton was, I guess, clamoring for them to show the protester.
Well, apparently, I mean, the only quote I have here is that, he just gave a double yes. That's what we're talking about, Wagner. And I saw the hit from someone's
phone
suite, someone with their phone in the suite with their play-by-play, which was pretty good as well. But just that guy filing an assault claim is today's sign of the apocalypse.
And it really is. College football last night, UCF with 31 unanswered. They beat SMU 41-19. There was a play, by the way. I don't believe it affected any bets unless you had teasers involved. But so SMU it's 41-13, final seconds, and they get stuffed at the 1, and they call timeout with 1 second to go. And then they pound it in with no time left to make it 41-19. Now, the over-unders that I saw were in the 64 range. But there's someone, Josh Graham, who does sports talk in North Carolina. He's claiming that on DraftKings, the over-under was in the 56, 57 range. And obviously, that would take this game from an under to an over. And obviously, there could be, teasers and what have you, in which it could have affected some bets. But, just throwing that out there. The timeout with 1 second left, down 4 touchdowns.
That's a bad look.
To pound one in.
I mean, it's a bad look. I don't care at that point. What's a worse look? And I don't think that Ohio State called the fake punt in that game, but a fake punt when you're up 4 scores. Or calling a timeout at the 1-yard line when you're down 4 scores.
I felt badly for Ryan Day because he clearly did not call for the fake punt up, 39 or something ridiculous. But players are taught you get a certain look, and I guess Rutgers overloaded the one side, and so the punter catches the ball. There's no one in front of him to the right, and he's like, Well,
and he's a
hell,
rugby style kicker, so he takes like 3 steps and looks, and I mean,
right.
the Red Sea parted, man.
Yeah. So he runs it for 20 yards. Now, I will say, all right, maybe the hit of the week in college football was the guy who was going to return the punt for Rutgers, all honked off that the punter ran the fake punt, and he had a 30-yard running head start and drilled the punter and got a 50, and also hit him out of bounds and got a 15-yard penalty. And everyone associated with Rutgers football was like, greatest penalty in the history of the program. So
I do think it is one thing, and I get it if it's a look, but one, I don't want anybody to see my look or see my fake punt, what we have thought of in a game like that. I really think at halftime, you got to tell your special teams coach, hey, all fakes are off at this point, because you don't want someone else being able to see what it is you do when a game may matter.
So coaches were yelling at each other, but then, they were on the same staff together, and they're friendly, and they were fine after the game, but whew. Yeah. So Thursday night football tonight, by the way, Colts and Broncos.
Should be a barn burner.
And by barn burner, we mean 20-16. Over under a 42, Denver favored by 3. No Jonathan Taylor tonight for the Colts, out with an ankle injury. It's all on Matt Ryan.
With no receivers.
Right. By the way, his 1-loss record the last couple of years, and it's not all on him because he's been on some bad teams, but Matt has not been on the winning end of a handshake much lately. Miller and Moulton. Matt Baker next.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You answered all risks, didn't you? Yeah, they got their electricity back.
Someone has. Oh yeah, we got it back on. I've had it back for a couple days now. I got it back Tuesday evening. Thank you.
Someone on Twitter goes, "Hey KD, when would you say your prime started?" I'm trying to show somebody something. He responded with September 29th, 1988. Yeah, we got less than 30 seconds. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Hoping to catch up with Matt Baker. He claims he didn't get our link, so we're hoping to catch up with Matt in the next moment.
Really?
Or two. Well, that's what he claims. So,
all right. Check your spam, dude.
We're all, we're all dealing with things these days. And so, our phones are not working in studio, so we're having to connect with guests differently. And so
such as
there you
life.
have it. Right. So, and you're right, Mark. It was in his junk mail. He just found it. So he'll be connecting soon.
Poll questions up. Just a baseball question with the season ending yesterday. How much baseball did you watch? None, very little, or you're a regular watcher of the game of baseball. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter to answer today's poll question. Right now, it's either none or watch regularly in a dead heat.
None or watch regularly. Got it. Matt Baker, the Tampa Bay Times, is kind enough to join us. He covers college football for a living. It's a pretty good beat if you can get it. You can follow him on Twitter, MBakerTBTimes, MBakerTBTimes. Matt, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. We really appreciate it. We wanted to talk about something that you wrote about earlier in the week. Jeff Scott, being questioned about the job he's doing. And obviously the wins have not been there, but he inherited a grease fire. And he used point spreads in making his resume case, if you will. And as you pointed out, wow, we're in new times. I've never heard this before.
Yeah, so I've heard a couple of references to point spreads before. Billy Napier's done it once or twice, or he and his staff have, but that was different. He talked about in terms of how they do analytics, right? How you approach going forward on fourth down, going for two when you're a 2-score underdog on the road, like that type of thing. And I understand that, right? That influences the decisions. When Jeff Scott was talking about it at USF the other day, he was referencing the fact that somebody told him they were on average 15-point underdogs and therefore losses this year. So let's not, I'm paraphrasing slightly, but let's not pretend like we were supposed to win the games that we didn't win. Okay, that's true. I don't think anybody expected them to beat Florida, and they actually acquitted themselves well on that. And yeah, they were 10-point underdogs, 9.5-point underdogs to East Carolina, but there's some issues with that, right? I've never had a coach go into a game saying, I don't think we're going to win. We're not supposed to win this one. I've never heard that. Any level I've been at. I know some will acknowledge, man, we got our tough road ahead. But I've never heard someone say, we're not supposed to win. And then the other part of that is, why are they double-digit underdogs, 2-score underdogs in all these games? Florida, okay, you can get that one. BYU, yeah, okay, I can understand that one. Louisville? It's not like Louisville's that good. Louisville might fire their coach before the end of the month. Let's not pretend like that's a juggernaut of a team. East Carolina is a fine AAC team, but look, that's a conference team. Jeff Scott's in year 3. Should he be a 9.5-point underdog against a conference opponent, a mid-level conference opponent in year 3? Should he be I think it's a 24-point underdog this week against Cincinnati? Cincinnati's good, not as good as last year. And then they've got Tulane after that. Might very well be a 2-score underdog against Tulane at home. Why is that happening? Some of it's the opponent, but not all of it. And that comes back to the staff and to Jeff, and I don't see another way around that.
Well, and he brought up the number of presidents and the number of ADs and that there's not a lot of cohesion in the university at all. But at the end of the day, what has Jeff Scott done? Where has it gone wrong? Has he missed on the transfer portal? There was a time with Levitt there, they were getting quality players. We're based out of Southwest Florida. They used to recruit down here heavily. You look at that roster, there's maybe 1 or 2 players from Southwest Florida. There's still good football down here. So where has he missed?
I don't think talent is the issue. He's upgraded the talent slightly. If you use a 247 talent composite, it's imperfect, but it's something. I think they've gone from 69th in the country to 66 since he's been there. So there's been slight upgrades. You look at the portal. I mean, Gary Bohannon did well at BYU as a quarterback. I don't think talent's the issue there. They brought in a lot of kind of the Power 5 guys who didn't work there at Kansas State or Auburn or Minnesota and come to USF. And so I don't think it's talent. I don't think they're getting out-talented by East Carolina. I think his point on stability it's something. There's something there where what I've said this about Miami, I've said this about Florida, I've said this about other places. One bad coaching hire, that happens to every program in the country. 2 back-to-back, okay, maybe there's a little bit of bad luck. When you've had sustained periods of not getting it done, it's not just the coaches. There's something else going on. So I think there's that. But if I've got to, point my finger on what's wrong with USF, I can't come back to anything but coaching. Jeff's first 2 seasons, they were outside the top 100 in first half scoring offense and first half scoring defense. That tells you they're unprepared going into the game. And then this year, I think they're 119th in the country in first half scoring offense, dead last in the country in first half scoring defense. They've gotten worse. I don't know how else to explain it other than they're not being prepared entering games. I mean, they're down 41-7 at half against East Carolina. That's not all talent. East Carolina is not 34 points better in the first half based on talent. There's something else there, and I can't figure out what else it would be other than preparation.
Well, this was 15 years ago. This was a highly desirable job. And now let's face it, UCF got ahead of them. They won the whole conference realignment game in the war on I-4 there. And so going forward, Matt, if you're South Florida, there's talk of an on-campus stadium. It looks as if it's going to happen. But is this a highly desirable job anymore? Like when Scott got the job, we interviewed him. He's from an hour south of there. He said, I had other opportunities, and Dabo raced into my office and said, this is a job you got to take. And we were like, wow, really? I mean, Matt, on the grand scheme of things, is this a job you got to have?
There's a lot to like about it. The number one factor in whether a team I think is going to succeed is proximity to talent. And there is still a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent where you guys are. Jeff's done, I think, a pretty good job of recruiting Tampa Bay. And sometimes they don't get the blue chip guy the first time, but they'll get him back through the portal, that sort of thing. I think he's got the right approach. I really do. And so USF has the talent base. Facilities are being upgraded. Within a month or so, they expect to move into the indoor practice facility, which it's taken too long, but this is where they are, and it's about to happen. The on-campus stadium is something that they are pushing very heavily for, with the idea of it opening in 26. So Facilities are getting better. I would still think it's one of the top group of 5 jobs in the country, whatever group of 5 mid-major is or will be in the next few years. But there's some serious issues where, again, they haven't had much success, let alone sustained success. Let's say they do get rid of Scott this year, and I don't think that's going to happen, but hear me out. If they do, 3 of the last 4 coaches they fired after 3 years. What would that tell me as a hotshot young coordinator or a retread trying to get back up into the game, right? That would be something that scares me off. So it's still a good job. There's still a lot to like it, but there's still some serious concerns that I would have as well. And that's part of the calculus in all this is, okay, everybody wants to fire this guy, wherever he is. Great. Who are you going to get? And USF right now, there's a lot to like, but there are some serious concerns that a candidate would have.
Let's head about an hour or so north to Gainesville. An easy one last week, a cupcake. But what were the positives? Because sometimes you just need a game like that. Sometimes you just need to whoop someone to make things right again. What are the positives that come out of that victory for the Gators?
Well, the positive is they came out relatively healthy. That's good. I do think they needed a get-right game just to kind of feel good about themselves as the SEC conference play kind of heats up here. I guess the other big thing is quarterback. Anthony Richardson played well. He did what he was supposed to, and that's fine and dandy. Good for him. Jalen Kitna came off the bench and I thought played pretty well. Why is that important? It's important because Florida's had to be careful and calculated in how they used Anthony Richardson, right? We know how good he is as a runner. I think that's probably his best tool, and I'm not breaking any news here. So, but the risk there is you don't want to run him too much and get him hurt where there's no experience behind him, and you don't know what the backup can do, because then you go from losing a game to losing a season, and you don't want to do that. So I think what we saw out of Jalen Kitna, when his first time lights were on, he wasn't overpowered. And yes, I know it was Eastern Washington, but still, you feel better about the backup quarterback situation. And that allows you to do a little bit more with your starting quarterback in terms of maybe you open up the playbook a little bit more, maybe you do some more bootlegs, maybe you run them a little bit more and feel better about that, which is something that's going to matter here against Mizzou on Saturday and then the rest of the season.
You know, this game's key for the Gators, in my estimation, Matt. They haven't won an SEC game in a while, and it would be nice to get comfortably above 500, build a little something going into LSU, which will be a tricky game. And then who knows, maybe you got a month-long winning streak when you go to the cocktail party. Missouri should have won at Auburn and took Georgia to the wire. I mean, if they show up ready to play, not hanging their heads, this is not a walk in the park.
No, it's definitely not. This year, this is just a weird season to me. There's a lot of pretty good teams across the country and only a couple great ones. And Mizzou and Florida are in that mix where I think on any given Saturday, they can go up and scare somebody. And on any given Saturday, they can almost lose at home to USF, right? I think that they're kind of in that mix. And, Florida's a fine team, but they're not great. Nobody's expecting a ton of sensational things from them this year, but they do need to make it to a bowl. And I'm just kind of double checking the schedule here. Is it possible they make a bowl and lose against Missouri? Yeah, but I wouldn't feel great about their chances. So if the Gators are going to make it to a bowl and kind of show that first, decent first season for Napier, this is a game that they really need.
How many great teams are there in your estimation? You vote on the AP, Matt. When you're doing this, I mean, we kind of talked about Clemson. If they lose, do they have a shot? I don't know if they do. I think Utah's done. David does not. When you look at this, how many great teams do we have?
Well, definitely Bama and Ohio State. I still think Georgia is. I feel less confident about that than I did, but I still think Georgia is great. I've got Clemson 4, Michigan 5, USC 6. I feel better about Clemson after the NC State game. I think, and then the Wake Forest game too, where they are winning in different ways, which that's the sign of a good team. They can win in a shootout against Wake and a great offense, and then they can tough it out a little bit more against NC State and win more with defense. So I might put Clemson in there. Michigan, I still don't know. That's a question mark. USC, I still don't know. That's a question mark. And that's about it. Ole Miss, I think, is really good. I don't think they're on that level. But I guess the Kentucky game taught me something, but not enough to proclaim them one way or the other. So yeah, I really feel good about 2, maybe 3. And then there's a couple others that are maybe in that next tier, but Michigan's untested. I wouldn't be shocked if Clemson loses at Florida State next week. And USC, they're better than I expected, but I'm not going to anoint them anything yet.
Wow, you just threw meat to the Florida State Lions there with saying, Florida State potentially beating Clemson. Boy,
Why not though, David? You look at what
well,
they
and
did.
we're pressed for time. We got about 60 seconds. I think Florida State's starting to get grounded down here, and I think they are going to need their bye week soon. But you're right; their A game can give them a game.
And I left the Wake Forest game feeling more confident about FSU because that's a really good Wake Forest offense. And they found a way to go up and hang with them. They've got issues. They've got depth issues. They've got O-line issues. Kicking game is not good. But I still think if FSU on their best day, they can go out and hang with just about anybody. And Clemson, I also think is they're gettable. I feel better about them, but I still think they're gettable. So yeah, I'm not predicting it. Don't put that out there, but I would not be shocked at all if FSU beats Clemson.
He's Matt Baker, and he made time for us once again. He writes for the Tampa Bay Times, college football, votes in the AP poll. He's a Heisman voter. Matt, thanks for being generous to us again. We always appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Follow Matt on Twitter, MBakerTB Times, MBakerTB Times.
Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte. It's the end of our broadcast day. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. For the 239, the bonus hour awaits. It's next on the Florida Sports Network. The day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I do appreciate all this headgear and clothes that I'm supposedly wearing that I'm not.
I really like the only thing you're wrong about All Risk is that it's not giant undergarments. It's actually New York Giant pajamas with the footies in them. Is what I'm picturing.
No, but that's funny.
Didn't they make NFL pajamas back in the day?
They did. I had a pair of NFL pajamas. They were white with all the team's logos.
All the team logos on it. Right.
Helmets on it. Yes. Yes. When I was a teenager, I think, or maybe just before that. Just before being a teen, I think. Yep. West Coast Dolphin, hope you're okay.
So, by the way, you know what I ended up not having because of the storm, don't you? Jury duty.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
They're all closed.
Oh, my God. The lengths that you will go to get out of jury duty. That's unbelievable. Yes, Johnny Mac. You had the NFC sheets. You had the AFC sheets. Yes, absolutely. I'll laugh my ass off if that gets rescheduled. Or if it doesn't. And 10 years from now, we're doing a show and you go, well, David, remember that one time I was supposed to have jury duty, and well, it's the only good thing that came from Hurricane Ian.
The other thing, and people mentioned it to a chat room. So NBC's live yesterday waiting for the governor. They got waiting for the president. They do a governor press conference. They go back to the studio. They go to whoever they've got. I think they got Peter Bush. They got Peter Bush at the airport doing all the shots, getting him in. And then they got whoever their guy is, younger guy on Fort Myers Beach, where Biden's going to speak from. It was right next to Fantasies, where they have them all set up. Literally in the Fantasies parking lot. I am dying on TV, just watching this going, that's Fantasies. And someone pointed out in the Twitch chat room, and I'm going, they're next to, but the sign of Fantasies got blown off, so you can't see that it's Fantasies on the beach, which, damn, it would have been spectacular.
It would have been.
For all of us here, it really would have been. The one thing I've realized, too, is that, and I knew this, but you forget of just how we're not a community, or how Fort Myers and Naples are so separate. My neighbor, she's born and raised in Naples, not born and raised, but moved to Naples when she was like 10.
Okay.
And just kind of mentioned the beaches gone. She goes, yeah, I'm Naples. I didn't really go to, that's right. You didn't.
Right. Yeah, there are a lot of people that Fort Myers Beach was not their thing. It was Bonita Beach or in Naples or whatever. Canada Relief, are you like having a conversation with yourself? What all of a sudden? Where did this come from?
Season starts tomorrow. Come on.
If it starts in Finland, does it really start, or wherever the hell it is?
Czech Republic.
Okay. My buddy Bob, the lawyer, goes, got to give it up to Mark. Best jury excuse ever.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And it is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this first Thursday of October. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, and final thoughts all coming up in roughly 40 minutes time. Thursday night football tonight. Colts 3-point underdogs in Denver. Boy, this game looked a lot better before the season started, didn't it? Denver with Russell Wilson was going to be fun, exciting. And the Colts, they were going to win the South. Oh, they're the best team in that division. Whatever.
Yeah, let's ride, right? Isn't that?
That's Russ.
Let's ride.
Let's
Broncos
ride.
country. Let's ride.
Yeah, you know what they're riding in? A golf cart, these two teams. That's about how fast they're going. Man, oh man. Broncos 2 wins. They scored 16 and 11 points in those 2 games.
It's okay, team. It's okay. We've got this. Let's ride.
Once again, we need the arm raised.
I will say,
busts right in.
He did. He waited till the 9:00 hour, though. I mean, you gave him the play of the day today. All right. You threw him a big bone in the 7:00 hour. You said, you know what? The POD is on you. And yeah, it wasn't that great.
There wasn't. I'll give him a break because there wasn't a lot to choose from. It was either a UCF touchdown. It was that baseball play. The other one we could have had was the catcher there for the A's.
Right, who announced his retirement a week or so ago, and so yesterday was his last game, and he homered.
And what I didn't realize, I don't know if you caught this with him, his kids announced him coming to the plate. They let his kids do the PA of that at bat.
That's cool.
That's awesome. It really is.
Never mind the fact it was a huge crowd for the A's yesterday. It was almost 12,000.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, don't laugh. That 3-game series against the Angels, I mean, they darn near drew 30,000 people for that 3-game series.
You know what I figured out? Another that bothers me. I love the A's unis.
Oh, my gosh.
Might be my favorite baseball uni.
The best.
No, okay, are you now, because they're not quite Oregon football, but they can go a lot of different combinations. Are you talking the ones they wore yesterday, the green?
I love just about all of them.
Okay.
Anything they've done for damn near 50 years, I've liked, David.
Yeah, because sometimes they go light green and then they go dark green.
Well, they've thrown some pinstripes in there.
Really?
Back in the day, they had pinstripes for a while. And you're right, David. They were Oregon before Oregon. They had a lot of different uniform combinations.
You know, come to think of it, us old guys, us get off our lawn guys, you had the A's of the early 70s and you had the Pirates. Remember, the Pirates had all different kinds of uniform combinations. So, now that I think about it, for all the grief that I have given a lot of college football teams for all their different uniform combinations, the Oakland A's and the Pittsburgh Pirates were changing uniforms damn near every day.
Thank you.
Unless they got on a winning streak.
And by the way, both looked great doing it.
And both had a lot of success. Yes. I mean, those two franchises won 5 of the 10 World Series in the 70s.
Which came first, Pirates black and yellow or Steelers black and yellow?
Well, I think Pirates. Okay, but it was black and white and you couldn't tell. All right, I think Pirates, close.
I just know the Penguins were last because they didn't wear the black and gold early on. They were wearing that awful light blue that they've gone back to occasionally.
I know. But then somebody realized, this whole Steelers Pirates thing seems to be working. How about if we wear those colors?
It is cool, for lack of a better term, that Pittsburgh's teams are all like.
I agree.
You want to wear a Pirates jersey to a Steelers game, you're fine. You want to wear a Steelers jersey to a Penguins game, that's fine too. It doesn't bother anybody.
It works.
They're all like, okay.
But, I maybe need to lighten up a little bit about the whole uniform thing because I actually loved, because I didn't see much of the A's. I was a Mets fan, what baseball I saw. So I would see that they played the Pirates a lot. Okay. And I loved the fact that the Pirates were constantly changing their uniform. And then some days they'd go with the striped hat, the 3 stripes.
Yes.
Okay. And
which was terrible, by the way, of all. That was a bad hat.
But also, I mean, they were very 70s when you think about it, Mark. Like when you watch a clip from an old Tonight Show and you looked at, and this is how people dressed, like Johnny, who was always considered like one of the best dressed guys. And you look at some of the outfits and you're like, wow, you left the house looking like that. The Pirates sometimes came out of the dugout and it's like, hold on a second. You guys have 30 different uniform combinations and that's the one you wore today? Seriously?
It was very 70s.
Yes.
I mean, it really was. So yeah, the A's and the Pirates were Oregon way before Oregon.
I mean, the A's had the two different shades of green easily. They went with the bright yellow. The Pirates went with more gold. I mean, the A's had a uniform in which there was virtually no white in it, even. It was just like green and yellow. And they were the best damn team in baseball. With some of the, Reggie and Raleigh Fingers and Catfish Hunter and Joe Rudy and Sal Bando. I mean, they had personality. Their stashes had stashes. They had attitude, and they were wearing hideous color uniforms. And they made it cool because they were so good.
The white cleats?
Yes! UL Washington, all he did was pinch run. He didn't pinch hit. They didn't put him in the field. All he did was pinch run.
And still had the toothpick in his mouth for the whole thing.
Right. And Raleigh's mustache curled up on both sides. I always thought he was like putting something in it. Most people put it in their hair. I always thought he put it in his stash.
Grease the mustache.
Yeah. Yep.
The striped Pirates hat. I love how James in the Twitch chat described it as the pizza hat.
I think he described it as the Pizza Hut hat. Oh, no, the pizza hat.
Yeah, the pizza hat.
Yeah.
That hat is weird, but I love it. Looks like a bucket. It's like a pot.
Listen, you tell Willie Stargell and Dave Parker that they look like an idiot wearing those uniforms.
I wouldn't say anything bad to either of them ever.
No. Absolutely. I loved Stargell, by the way. All right. His whole pre-pitch routine when he was just twirling that bat around. All right. And then right as you're starting your windup, he'd give it two big twirls fast and then get ready. Joe Morgan with the hitching of his elbow, flapping it like a chicken wing. See, and that leads to our poll question. Baseball. You remember baseball. This is when it was our national pastime, not how most of you refer to it now as national past its time. The baseball season ended yesterday. How many of you knew that?
CT says only what they forced me to watch on a college football Saturday. Bubba answered the Orioles looking promising, caught my interest for a spell. Gator Nation said he watched a lot of Rays this year, and that's where we're at. 41% said you watched regularly, 21% said you watched very little, and 38% said you watched zero baseball.
So regularly and zero are going head to head here. That's our poll question. How much baseball did you watch this year? Day off today. A new first round best of three with the top two seeds in each league getting byes. 3 playing 6, 4 playing 5, 3 and 4 hosting all three games if necessary. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. ESPN and their family of networks have all the games. ESPN, ESPN2, and one game a day on ABC.
Cut-ins available at your leisure.
I don't think
Clemson, BC is on ABC, and the playoffs with the Cards and the Phillies are on ESPN2.
Correct. Correct. But Saturday night, you're used to ESPN and ESPN2 having college football, usually both SEC games. And instead, what you will get Saturday night will be Mets Padres on ESPN and Cards Phils on ESPN2. The whole Southeast in particular is going to be like, what the heck is going on here? What's on my TV? What is this? Dad, that's baseball. What?
Well, the 3:30 slots Georgia, Auburn, and then A&M and Alabama is in prime. So that does change it a little bit.
Yes. CBS playing it safe when they had to make these picks. Now, they made the primetime pick months ago, but when they had to decide who was playing at 3:30, Georgia was the number one team in the country. And so they said, well, we're going to take the number one team in the country because you're getting grief either way. I mean, the better game is Tennessee at LSU. I mean, it just is. I mean, it's a 3-point spread, for goodness sakes. Georgia's favored by 29. Okay, but you catch a lot of grief as a network when you don't take the top team in the country. And even that though they moved to number 2 in both polls, trust me, you catch the Georgia fan would be like, what do we have to do to get on CBS? We won the national championship. We're undefeated. We're the number 1 or 2 team in the country, and we can't get on CBS? Those blankety blanks. And so then when the network takes the top 2 teams in the country, they get the college football fan to go, does anybody there know how to read a point spread? You know, you take the better game.
But that's not, and you're aware that's not the case. Ratings are driven by best teams more than best games.
Now, I do think Auburn has to represent for that game to do decently. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I have a soft spot for them because my first couple years as part of the SEC on CBS crew, we went to Knoxville 3 times a year. And it's when Tennessee still had a pulse. And it was a special place on a Saturday afternoon. It really is. It hasn't been a special place for a while. People don't have a romantic feeling about Tennessee football anymore. Maybe this team begins to turn it around.
Miller and Moulton. 25 minutes away from today was the day when the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what's on tap. More in a moment with Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And Adam, that's because you're, I'm guessing, older than 30. And so you remember, those games had real meaning for a long time. It's difficult to put into words. I so hope Tennessee wins Saturday. For an undefeated Tennessee team to host Alabama. By the way, Mark, now, I think because they went there 2 weeks ago, I know where they're going. But if you're game day and you got Alabama undefeated at Tennessee, which right now would be 1-8, and you got Penn State at Michigan, which right now is what, 10-5?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 or
Now
5 depending.
Right. Now they just went to Knoxville, so I fully expect them to go to Ann Arbor, but that's an interesting call.
I'd go to Ann Arbor.
I mean, because Fox is going to be there.
I know. That's part of the reason I'd be there. You're not going to lose the SEC fan on ESPN. They know they're going to get theirs. For that first hour when you're on, I want everybody in the Big Ten to know I'm in Big Ten country and try to keep them there.
Well, and in theory, you could send your SEC network show to Knoxville.
Bingo.
Damn. Adam goes, as a Gator alumni, I hate Tennessee more than FSU. Wow. How many national championships does Tennessee have?
Since when?
I don't know, since ever.
98. And otherwise, you got to go back to, I think, the 50s.
Jeez. It's another college football bucket lister right there. When Tennessee has a pulse going to a home game.
You would want to go next week. No, I'm serious.
No,
Alabama?
Like,
No. There's no one they hate more than Alabama.
Next week is the week.
67. So basically, in Mark's lifetime, they've won 1. In mine, they've won 2.
Oh, my God.
Everything okay?
Oh, yeah, just some stories. I was just looking for something and seeing some disturbing stories.
You see the one about in Thailand?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Awful.
Adam, when you start picking on Orange, you are the Florida Gators. So, I mean.
Yeah, come on now. It's just a different shade.
And none of them are that good. I like Auburn's hint of orange the most out of any of them. I like their combo the best, color-wise.
Navy orange.
That's me.
Or damn.
I won't go that far. I'm not rooting for Auburn. I just like their colors.
Or damn Eagle. We're coming back.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day one, along with our final thoughts in roughly 20 minutes' time. Poll question: baseball season ended yesterday. Okay, be honest. How many of you knew that? And that led to us asking this poll question. So the 6-month baseball season ended, regular season anyway. How much of it did you watch? None, very little. Oh, no. I'm a fan. I watched a lot. And right now, the fans and the you got to be kidding me's are battling it out.
Doesn't bode well as the non-baseball fan is waking up right about now.
I know. I'm clinging to like a 3-point lead, aren't I?
Yes, and I'm impressed that you have it this late into the show. Actually, up to 4 points now, 42 to 38%.
Boy. Problem is, not like these guys that won the batting titles yesterday. I can't sit on this 4-point lead. I really need to somehow manufacture some votes.
Hey, when Auburn gets blown out by 50, is he done on Saturday?
I believe so. I believe he'll be fired Sunday. I do. Can I ask you this question, though? We had Matt Baker on last hour, and we were just talking a little bit of South Florida, which we don't do a ton of. But their third-year head coach, Jeff Scott's, a bit embattled. And he was defending himself, and he was basically saying, basically our margin of defeat is less than what people are expecting. So we're actually doing better than you think. And we wondered, just how decent of a job is it and how many people would really want it if it opened up? How good of a job is Auburn considering that's the most difficult? How do you want to describe it? Fan base, booster club, family, organization to deal with, Mark? Like if you're Lane Kiffin, because they're going to call him, and you can play for and win a national title at Auburn. There's no proof you can do that at Ole Miss. But yeah, you're in great shape at Ole Miss. Life is good. 8 wins, 9 wins. Oh, man. How many years you won on that extension? You go 8-4, 9-3 at Auburn, you're done.
We thought the same, just quickly about Ole Miss. We thought the same thing about Wisconsin. They were winning 9-10 games a year. And all of a sudden, they're off to a little bit of a rough start, and they dump Paul Chryst. So, win 8 or 9 a year for 4 or 5 years. Does Ole Miss change the way they think about 8-9 wins? Because it seems, David, it's tough for us to find a program. Wisconsin was it. That was our program, David.
It was.
That was our one when we had this conversation. We said, who knows exactly who they are? Wisconsin knows who they are. Iowa knows who they are. Right now, we believe Ole Miss knows who they are. But we can list the examples. Minnesota, Nebraska, just off the hop, of schools who, when expectations start getting better, forget who they are. And I don't know if Ole Miss would be that way in a couple more years. You are right. Auburn's always that way.
Auburn is a mess. I mean, Mark, you've made more of these references over the years than I have. But I mean, whether it's the guy or the girl, the handsome or beautiful woman, stunning. And it's like, how come she has so many boyfriends? Oh, she's a mess, man. I mean, that's Auburn. Do you want to date Auburn? Oh, yeah, I'd love to date Auburn. I'd love to go out with Auburn. Really? Let me tell you what it's like once you meet the parents. I mean,
it's a great analogy of Auburn.
I mean, she's a beauty queen. She's won Miss America. She's been a finalist at Miss America. Okay, she can make the final 10 at Miss America. She's a beauty, but her family is nuts. And you got to deal with them. There's no, well, we'll move. No, you move in with them, actually.
Right.
That's how this relationship works.
It's one big area, one compound that you live on. You may just have the house on the east side of the compound, if you know what I mean.
Right. You have a choice. Okay. Are you getting serious with her? Because if so, now you move in with us. All right. See, that's how this works. And I mean, Auburn, I feel,
the problem is they throw so much money at you right now. Someone takes it. I mean, this is just, we're at a point in money. What did I just see? There's $60 million being paid to coaches this year who are not coaching.
Well, we all know someone will take the job and they'll literally say, so what? I'll get fired in 3 years. I'll bank $40 million. All right. It'll be our retirement plan. But I'm talking about somebody like Lane Kiffin. You know what I mean? Somebody in which it's like, do you leave your gig for Auburn? And I mean, how sexy would it be Lane coaching against Nick in the Iron Bowl? I mean, are you kidding me?
They won't want Jimbo after he gets his doors blown off on Saturday.
Well, listen, I don't want to say things are going badly at College Station, but people are writing articles about how much the buyout would be. And by the way, I believe it's in the 60-something million range.
Yes, you are correct.
But that's when things are going badly.
Right.
Listen, can we afford $63 million? For what? We got to buy out Jimbo. $63 million. I really don't want to pay $63 million. Well, we got to keep him as coach then.
Sorry, you were wrong. I believe it's $86 million.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. We were off by $20 million.
Man.
I mean, at A&M.
Right. But I will say, though, this is the danger that all of college football, I think, is entering. And I ask you fans, can you handle when college football becomes the NFL? Because that's what you can't have this many schools investing this much money and not have them all start to beat each other up. Because, I mean, Mark, what have we talked about the polls this year? If you take the top 6 and isolate them, well, what is 7 through 40 going to do? They're all going to beat each other up. I mean, it's not out of the question to think you're going to have 3 lost teams make the 12-team playoff. I don't think it's out of the question at all. You have a 9-3 team make the playoff. Think about some of the schedules certain teams are going to play in the Big Ten and SEC going forward. Oklahoma and Texas are joining the SEC. USC is joining the Big Ten.
David, I think they'd be fine with it if they actually thought 7 through 40 could actually win a title once in a while. I think most people don't even right now we're wondering if teams 4 through 6 can win a title.
So unlike the NFL, where basically we think of the 14 teams that 12 of them can go to the Super Bowl, we look at the college football playoff and go, hell, we don't even think the 4 seed can win it.
Not right now. History's on your side with that one too.
Miller and Moulton. Some of what's out there.
But, just to put a bow on the USF thing, you know how many wins he has against even Division I teams? It's 1 now. He's beaten Temple, and that coach got fired after going 3-9 last year. It's getting ugly. We'll have some of that. It's called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and it's coming up next on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Two balls and no strikes to Munson. Fry he is. Munson hits it high, hits it well to left. Wilson going way back, way back. It is. Oh!
The damage there. You're getting everything, ladies and gentlemen, in this ball game, right, Jim?
That's Keith Jackson and Howard Cosell.
I think that was game 3. Munson hit one to the monuments.
They're saying it was today, and I don't think it was. Because I've got today in 78 that the Yanks, the Yanks, they win the chance. Okay, yeah. Brett hit 3 home runs in that game.
And those two teams hated each other. Felipe, you want to humor yourself? Google Hal McRae second base slide.
Hal McRae second base slide.
Yes. He takes out Bucky Dent, and he knocks Bucky Dent back 20 feet. He hits him so hard.
He takes out Green, you said?
I thought it was Bucky Dent, but he took out. Well, when he was with the Reds, actually in the early 70s, he had a rolling. That's Dick Green of the A's in the World Series. He literally did like a rolling block into Dick Green, and he knocked him almost into the outfield.
McRae takes out Randolph at second.
Okay, watch it.
All right, here we go. What the hell?
Yes.
That's what baseball used to be.
Oh, he allowed him to score. He allowed them.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. You basically had to take out a gun and shoot a guy at second to be called out for interference.
And you could come way inside the baseline if you wanted to, or way outside the baseline. You had 4 feet on either side to slide and take that guy out.
He was on his feet running.
And by the way, you were taught that at Little League to take. I mean, when you played double plays, you were taught to take out the shortstop, slide into his legs. That's what you're supposed to do.
Felipe, it's why there was the thing called the neighborhood play. They allowed the middle infielders to be within 5 feet, quite frankly, of the bag and catch it. And even though they didn't touch the bag, it was like, he's in the neighborhood, it's out. It's because the base runner could do just that. So to protect the middle infielders, they allowed them to be, quote, in the neighborhood of second.
Interesting.
And do you know what got rid of all that? Replay.
Replay.
Because once a guy's foot wasn't on the bag catching the ball, and they challenge it and the whole deal.
And they never called a player out when he slid into the bag and came off the bag, and then he got there.
That's one of the things that I freaking hate about replay in a lot of different sports, like basketball, for example. Oh, the ball's in your hand. He slaps it out of bounds, but it's their ball because when you look at it in slow-mo and he slaps the ball out of bounds, your finger grazed it last. So technically it's their ball.
I actually like that as someone who, like, the only thing I had going for me was quick hands and knocking the ball away from people. And I hated that when you poked it into someone and they called it the wrong way.
Like they poke it
by hit his leg or whatever, and or you hit it off your hand into their hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. Mike Farrell, imagine these hires for fun. Leopold to Badgers, Gundy to Huskers, Dion to Georgia Tech, Urban to Auburn.
Dion to Georgia Tech.
Urban to Auburn. Oh, my God.
It's the perfect hire.
Oh, my God.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, final segment of Miller and Moulton on this first Thursday of October. Thursday night football tonight. Colts 3-point underdog in Denver, over under 42 for those of you so inclined. Baseball playoffs get underway tomorrow, a day off from baseball today. Hockey season technically gets underway tomorrow as well. Our poll question, with the baseball season having ended yesterday, how much of it did you watch? I think this show is at least two of the three answers. I watched a lot. Mark watched very little. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I watched a decent amount of Rays. I'm somewhere between very little and a lot. I watched a decent amount of second half baseball.
Okay. Well, you are
I
getting
went
older.
with very little. I'm starting to hit the demo. I'm a couple years away.
Right. Most industries are trying to get the 25 to 54. I'm already in the 55 plus, and Mark's working on it. So there you go. Baseball's got us covered.
So looking at Twitter before we came back on air, and Mike Farrell, good college football writer, just says, imagine these hires for fun. Leopold to Badgers, Gundy to the Huskers, Dion to Georgia Tech, and Urban to Auburn.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, that is so filthy.
It makes sense in a really, really deranged sort of way.
He is the hired gun of all time. Oh, my goodness. You know what? I'd really miss doing the SEC on CBS if Urban went to Auburn. I'm kind of looking forward to a little Big Ten football in the next year or so, but man, Urban at Auburn. By the way, do you think Dion takes a Power 5 job? Because this is clearly a calling of his. He said so, and he is proud of some of the attention that he is bringing to the HBCUs. He's gotten Eddie George and others to take the leap with him. He's brought some real money into HBCU football, or at least some programs. Do you think he takes a Power 5 job?
No, I don't. Not yet, at least. I think he's going to ride this out a few more years before that's even an idea.
Because Georgia Tech, I mean, they would have to kick his tires, wouldn't they? I mean, obviously football and baseball in Atlanta.
In his interview with them, it's really simple. Am I going to be able to get the guys in that I need to get in to win? And they're going to tell him no, and that's the end of the interview.
Are we sure they're going to tell him no anymore? When your entire athletic department now centers around one sport, whether you want it to or not. I mean, if you're Georgia Tech, I mean, come on, what are we talking here? 20 students a year where, they don't necessarily have to meet our standards. I mean, come on, 20 students a year. Seriously? Come on. We're going to let this stand in the way of our 8-figure athletic department?
I just remember John Sally telling a story thinking he was going to take a certain set of classes, and he got to Georgia Tech and he had calculus and chemistry, and he was, what the hell is that?
I do remember that story.
So I'll believe it when I see it, I guess, David.
Fair enough. I mean, even Notre Dame, got desperate enough after Jerry Faust that, Lou came in and said, okay, here's the deal. Okay, you're going to have to relax standards a little bit. I got this Barry Alvarez guy. We know who we're going to recruit. You don't normally let them into school. You're going to let them into school? Yes, we're going to let them into school. Okay, we'll take the job.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Got a couple of things to the 19th century to start out. 1882, the first World Series game. The Cincinnati Red Stockings beat the Chicago White Stockings 4-0 at the Bank Street grounds in Cincinnati. 1889, Edison shows his first motion picture. And in 1893, Nabisco invents cream of wheat. Probably a day we could have lived without. Today in 1911, Cy Young's last appearance. It was a 13-3 loss to the Brooklyn Dodgers in his 906th game.
And he won 511 of them.
Right. The Black Sox in 19, Ray Schalk, there's the second man ejected, their catcher, from the World Series Game 5 against the Reds. He's angered when his pitchers won't follow his signals during a 5-0 loss, and they throw the catcher out. 1921, we'll see if this happens this year, if they can break this record. Fewest hits in a baseball World Series game. The Yankees beat the Giants 3-0. The Yankees had 3 hits. The Giants had 2.
What year was this?
1921. In 1926, Babe Ruth becomes the first Major League player to hit 3 home runs in a World Series game as the Yanks beat the Cardinals 10-5. Today in 45, tavern owner, and I'll probably botch his last name, Billy Goat-Cianis, buys a seat for his goat at Game 4 of the World Series. He's escorted out and casts the curse on the Cubs.
Lasted a long time.
1959, the White Sox beat the Dodgers in Game 5 of the World Series at the Coliseum. It was a World Series attendance record, 92,706. 1966, at 20, Jim Palmer is the youngest to record a World Series shutout as Baltimore beats the Dodgers 6-0.
That would be Sandy Koufax's last games, the 66 series.
77, Yankees win the AL pennant, rallying for 3 runs in the 9th to beat the Royals in Game 5.
Whitey Herzog was the manager. He brought in his ace, Dennis Leonard, to pitch the 9th, his number 1 starter, and the Yankees tagged him for 3 runs, and Herzog was severely criticized for that.
The next year, Brett would hit 3 home runs, but Thurman Munson would hit a 3-run shot, and the Yankees would do it to the Royals again. 6-5 in Game 3.
They beat him 3 years in a row. I believe 3 Game 5s, 76, 77, and 78.
In 79, Pope John Paul II was the first pope to visit the White House. 1985, with the Yankees, Phil Niekro becomes the 18th to get to 300 wins.
Final day of the regular season. Meaning this game, they'd gotten eliminated the day before.
Today in 93, after 9 seasons and 3 championships with the Bulls, Michael Jordan announces his retirement. Don't know what happened after that. Today in 2001, the UK talent show Pop Idol debuts, creating the Idol brand worldwide. And it was 2 years ago today that Eddie Van Halen died. Those born today that are no longer with us: George Westinghouse, wrestler Bruno Sammartino. Those celebrating birthdays: Tony Dungy, Oil Can Boyd. Wait for it, David. Here it is. Elizabeth Shue.
Wow. You should have given me a heads up.
You know what? I really should have. Singer Matthew Sweet, Rebecca Logo, boxer Ricky Hatton, Trevor Lawrence, and Kyle Pitts also celebrating birthdays today. With Kyle Pitts, I think it's the first one that I've had where it's a 2000 birthday. When we do these,
Oh, that's interesting. Well, actually, that's not true because it was my birthday on July 18th. So,
yeah, but I didn't do that.
Yeah, I did it. You're right. You didn't even know it was my birthday. I didn't even tell you guys, but
see.
Well, here, a quick question, Felipe. Do you know when our birthdays are?
Yeah. I'm just kidding. I really don't.
See?
Well, that's the thing. Okay, David's is in December.
Yes.
And then yours is in August?
You're right.
Yeah.
Look at that, too.
That's pretty
really
impressive
good.
right there.
Those are some good guesses right there. You pulled those SAT questions out of your...
No kidding.
Nice guessing on the multiple choice there. Way to go. I got one thing. They assassinated Sadat today in 81. One of those military parades, and he's sitting there and all comfortable. And all of a sudden they turn and they've got weapons because it's a military parade, and all of a sudden they decide to use them. That didn't work out too well.
Felipe, anything? Any bubble news today? No. He didn't look it up.
Game 4, but I'm sad because Game 5 was one hell of a game that the Heat won, and it's on Sunday that it was the anniversary.
You know what? Maybe we'll do a Twitch broadcast just for you. That leads us to.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
A couple of goods. First off, the guys from Clutch have been out on San Carlos Boulevard feeding and giving supplies to residents and workers on Fort Myers Beach. They're doing it all week. Talked to Anthony earlier in the show. Just great work. But the other good I've got to go to, and we'll get more on that, what Clutch is doing as I talked to Anthony after the show today. But Dominic Deandra had $288 in his piggy bank. He was saving it for an electric scooter or a Corvette. He's 7. I like this kid's style. 4 years he's been saving in the piggy bank. But he loves Florida. Donated his $288 to Hurricane Ian relief. His parents put a little video out. Video went viral. They've raised over $12,000, and mom's driving a truck full of supplies to Southwest Florida as we speak. Good job, Dominic. For the bad, well, we go to Ocala, where a street stock racer named Jeff Stallnaker locked his 2 race cars in a trailer to keep him safe from the storm. Fortunately for him, Ocala didn't have any damage, so he was fine. But with the trailer there, someone stole the trailer.
Oh.
They thought they had all kinds of good stuff in it. When they found out they had 2 race cars, they had to get rid of the evidence. So Alex Herring went to work, took out an excavator, dug a big hole, dumped the cars in the hole. Problem for Alex, outside of being a dumb thief, is he was using a company car that had GPS on it. And he came back to where he worked to use the work equipment, and they found the cars and were able to track him to the site where he stole the cars.
All right. Hear me out here. So I steal your cars.
Right.
Then I realize, oh, man.
Well, he was stealing a trailer. He didn't know he was stealing cars.
Exactly.
He thought he was getting stuff.
Right. So, but bear with me here. If I drove the trailer back to where I stole it and just said, you know what, my bad, and then walked away, do you think you would then prosecute me, call the authorities and say, hey, this is the guy, or would you just go, return the cars?
I'd prosecute.
Yeah, okay.
But he did this. He did this in the middle of the night. He could have just gone back. No one would have ever known that he stole the damn thing.
Exactly. Just drive it back and drop it off. Leave the keys on the dash. I mean, come on.
For the ugly, we go to Charlotte, North Carolina, where an 8th grader recorded a video at Randolph IB Middle School in Southeast Charlotte in his French class, where the teacher went all French and started smoking a dart while in the 8th grade classroom. In the video, you can see kids waving off the smoke.
That's funny.
The school's principal notified parents that investigation into tobacco use on campus was underway. What type of investigation do you need?
It's kind of like the Warriors looking into the fight between Draymond and Jordan Poole. What's there to look into? He punched him.
And that's the good, the bad, and the Newport ugly on today, October the 6th, 2022.
When's the last year you can remember a teacher smoking in class? Because I can remember it in junior high.
Smoking in class?
Yeah,
Never. You had
teachers?
teachers?
I could. Absolutely. I can tell you the teachers who smoked in class.
But
during
absolutely.
class. Yeah, it was the 70s. Are you serious? They smoked and drank on the Tonight Show. Yes.
Never, ever had a teacher smoking in class.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Wisniewski, the science teacher in 6th grade.
That's awesome. I'm sure there was a shop teacher or two back in the day, but I never saw it.
I mean, Mark, there was asbestos in the hallways. Like they were going to have a problem with the teacher smoking, for goodness sakes. We're playing outside the high power lines, okay, because they got the land cheap because of it. So, of course, they built a school there. Okay, we got the asbestos in the hallways. You think they're going to have a problem with the teacher smoking?
Felipe is in shock right now.
It's called the 70s, Felipe.
Yeah, it'd be like a vape pen nowadays.
Well, and I saw someone put out a cute thing. Now smoking, the redone smoking in the boys' room is vaping in the gender neutral bathroom.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the same catchy tune, though.
I need something snappy, David.
Vaping in the non-gender bathroom. It just doesn't flow.
It doesn't. It doesn't really have that ring to it.
Thursday Night Football. Unless you're looking for something a little different, the Lightning and the Panthers play one another tonight in Sunrise in preseason hockey. They hate each other so much there might actually be a little intensity to it.
We'll see. Who do you like tonight, David?
Oh, I like the Broncos, and I like them to cover.
I like Denver as well. That's Amazon Prime Football. Tomorrow, Lee Sterling on the show. We'll make our bets. That's the time you want to listen to go the other way, and Pat Kerwin will join us as well. We thank you for listening. Until tomorrow morning, we are Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and